democracy and ever-changing views and computer terminology. Commodore news. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Yes, the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Yes, the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up? Yes, the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up? Yes, the Commodore is keeping up with you.
Hello, and welcome to episode 79 of Zapped to the Past. I am Adrian Mills, and I'm joined, as always, by Graham Raddings. If you haven't listened before, this is a podcast where we discuss games that were released for the Commodore 64. Last week, we looked at our third batch of games from issue 34 of Zap 64, which we are in no way affiliated with, and were turned off by Through the Trapdoor, off-roaded by Outrun, and flamed on at Fire Trap. This week, we conclude our look at the games in February 1988, along with what was lighting up our cinema screens that month. So Graham, inform us of all the things we will discuss in this coming episode.
In this record shop turned social bar with rare vinyl albums from bands like the Tilburys, Donovan's Armpit, Nestor Investor, and the Humps, as well as a fantastic collection of vintage singles from the Do-Goods, Formica Crack Wasps, and of course, Salvador Dalek. Of an episode, we grab our best skateboards and head out on an isometric journey with added micro jumps in the spinny but boring 720 degrees, forego all logic and meaning as we force two badly drawn 8-bit rodents to beat each other to death in the outright crappy Ninja Hamster, plod aimlessly through the samey corridors and air vents of a spaceship in a desperate bid to escape the dreariness of Alien, and break out our triangle bats for a good old-fashioned game of breakout. I mean break-along, I mean ball-along, I mean triangle ball, I mean Jinks. If that collection of cassettes is beyond the winding ability of a Bic pen, and do you feel that it's finally time to listen to the ultra-rare Dracula and the Blood Wasp CD you bought last week, we also deftly angle our laser beams around the puzzling levels and overloading obstacles of the tricky Deflektor, experience a crap simulation of a vehicle no one wanted anyway, with the heavily Kickstart-inspired ATV Simulator, zoom around some teeny-tiny racetracks in our fastest pixel mobiles, with the fun-loaded Grand Prix Simulator, say hey nonny no! To the stupid giant medieval knights of the utterly ridiculous Ramparts, before finally heading out into a galaxy not nearly far away enough to participate in some of the stupidest events yet seen with the 8-bit dog turd in a bag that is Galactic Games. Ugh, what a smelly collection that is, like finding a dog shit in your Ice Krispies. That ain't no free gift I want.
Yeah, you heard, flamed on. I told you, flamed on.
Flame on.
Flame on. Johnny, flame.
But he never says flame off, does he, to turn it off?
No, because that just turns his oven off at home.
So there's no way of turning his flame off once it's on, it's just has to burn out.
Yeah, do you reckon,
how annoying would that be?
Do you reckon Johnny Flame is charged by the kilowatt hour, so he don't do much rescuing these days because of the
Not these days,
huge
the
impact
energy crisis,
in energy.
It's an environmental disaster, really, isn't it, anyway? His carbon footprint's like crazy.
Well, it's massive. Every time he puts his foot down, he leaves carbon.
That's what I mean. And then he gets through more bloody suits a day, that guy. Just every now and again, flame on. Oh, damn it. Can't turn this off. I've got no off.
Did you say soups or suits? Soups.
I'd suggest suits was the more logical choice, but soups is good. Works for me. He probably does get through a lot of soup. I had soup today, strangely enough. Luckily, I didn't burst into flames. No, I didn't invite any Scottish people with me. It was all mine. All mine.
Oxtail?
No, oxtail. What? Wash your mouth out with soap.
Beef broth?
No, it was chicken. Plain old chicken.
Chicken's the worst soup. Chicken's the middle of the road. It's the worst place to eat.
It had little chunks of chicken in, I think. I'm not sure by the way. It was one of those cup of soups from Aldi, so it was a mug of soup. But it was all right.
Because you felt mugged afterwards.
Mug of broth.
Mug of broth. Anyway, yeah. Right, this is our last lot of games. There's 9 games we're covering today. This is our last lot for February. We've got stuff going on, and then we've got some Crapverts charts and see what we've got coming up for March. It's going to be a full-on episode, so should we get into it?
Yes, tightly packed.
Like my pants.
I didn't say that.
Because they're too small. I had to borrow some of my son's, and he's only 13.
That explains your fidgeting and your absence of feeling in your legs.
Absolutely. And every now and again, you might hear a very sharp squeak. But I don't know. Right, anyway, let's get into these. Graham, I want you to
I am
turn
he.
around. Not once, but twice. Or as I would call it, 720 degrees. Tell us all about it.
Okay, copyright Atari. I didn't realise this was an Atari arcade. I don't know why I didn't realise that.
It looks dead like one.
And partly because I hate them. I hate this game. Well, I hate the arcade. I'm not a fan of this game in the arcade, but okay, I'm going to put that to one side for this because I wanted to sort of try and see, I hadn't played either or seen either for a long time. So this was kind of a refreshing trip down painful memory lane. Anyway, so this was originally copyright Atari. It's coded by Chris Butler. Chris Butler, everyone. Chris Butler, here he is. And he's not really here. And the title screen's by good old Sam. I don't know who that is, just Sam. Sam somebody or other. Anyway.
Sam.
Musician, of course, is Ben Daglish here. So this is a licensed arcade conversion from US Gold. They seem to be getting a lot of the fairly sizable. This was quite a popular arcade, I think.
Did they ever deal with Atari?
They must have done. I don't know. They were picking up a lot of decent licenses anyway, and this, I think, had quite a reputation in the arcades. I don't know quite why, really, having looked at it again for this podcast, but anyway. So it's released by US Gold. In this game, you play obviously as a skateboarder, and you've got to navigate your way around the isometric world of Skate City. Ooh. Performing tricks for points, entering skate parks and such to perform stunts and races, all of which get you money to improve your abilities and equipment. Skate City is full of ramps, water jumps, slopes, and areas for you to perform tricks on your skateboard. Doing so will earn you points. There are some hazards too. Fall in the water and it costs you time and money. Run into some bad dudes and it also costs you time and money. Most things cost you time and money in this game, including like actually playing the arcade. Yes, exactly. Both of those things. This game cost me time and money. Spent too long in the main area of Skate City, and you're on a timer, you see, and your timer runs out. When that happens, you will be advised that it's time to skate or die, and you'll need to find the nearest skate park to enter before a swarm of bees attacks you, which I always thought was a bit weird. Anyway, and that happens in the arcade too, so it's straight from that. There are also some shops where you can buy upgrades for your adventures, such as pads, helmets, boards, and shoes, when you've got the money to do so. These allow you to jump higher, control quicker, move faster, control, blah, 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 the things that you'd expect them to do. So the more stunts you do, the more points you get, all of which earn you tickets. There are 4 skate parks in the city. You start off with 3 tickets. Each of the skate parks has a different challenge. That is half pipe, where you must do stunts in a half pipe to earn a specific score. We've spoken about the half pipe before. And by the way, this is all in isometric vision. Come to that, though. This is downhill racing over some ramps, a slalom course where you've got to navigate around a series of gates, or through flags, between flags, I think, and jumps where you must shoot down some ramps and then jump over water traps. Exciting. If you qualify, I don't run out of time, you will achieve bronze, silver, or gold, which will give you points, which gives you cash, which you can then spend on upgrades, and so on the merry-go-round it goes. Round and round you go on the merry-go-round. Unstoppable you are, not merry-go-round. So the fun, in inverted commas, here is joystick controlled, with your skater responding to the direction of the joystick. Obviously, it seems like an obvious thing to say now. I've read that back. With your controller controlling in the way you would expect.
The one you've got plugged in on the computer you were playing on.
Yes. Your joystick controller controls the thing that you control with the joystick, and pressing the button performs a jump. You can do spins, etc. So to do those, you sort of scoot around the skate park, and you can, when you do little jumps, you can sort of waggle and spin your joystick around, and as you jump off, the more successful you get at that, the more points you are awarded. Obviously, the idea is you spin and do 360s and 720s even. And gradually you'll get more tickets, and then you get more trips to the parks, and you get more ramps, and so it goes on and on and on. So that's kind of the game. And it is arcade logic in this game, all right? So there's no grand story arc to it. Okay, you're just skate dude in Skate Town, going to skate park. Skate, you're skating a lot in this game. Skate. So technically, one small raster bug aside, I'm being picky with that. The scrolling is actually pretty good. And while a tonally boring brown, blue, and yellow isometric skate world zips by, the graphics are akin to the arcade, and I would argue passable at best. They're not bad. They're not terrible. They've got that kind of Atari look, as you very accurately point out. But there's nothing special really here. The skater control's okay, pretty responsive, all said and done, but the payoff for the stunts is weak. Doesn't feel like you're really doing a lot of powerful mega stunts in this game. You're just going to go, whoa, 200 points for doing a flippy D. Whoa, 200 points for doing a slight spin. So the skate, like I say, controls okay, but the stunts are pretty weak, and the payoff isn't great for them. The Skate City and skate parks do feel quite large, I suppose, which is quite interesting. So the scale feels okay, and that's a bonus, I suppose. But as I used to say to my game students, large empty environments get boring very quickly, to say that quite a lot. And that is the key issue I feel here. While this might work for a 20p dip in and out arcade game, the notion of loading this up and going round the Skate City and round and through the parks over and over again quickly becomes very tiring and very dull.
dull. The landscape and its relative emptiness doesn't help, of course. It's an empty space. You just kind of... in the arcade, you've got cars driving around. There's lots of people in there. There's lots of things. None of that's here. None of that's in this one. It's just kind of a bit of a brown and yellow and green and
black.
sort of
Really
black and black colour. Yeah, sort of void colours. Not nice. The arcade also has some speech and more interaction and more than one audio track. And we've said this so many times about arcade conversions that if it's an average game and then they apply lots of speech and things to it, that can uplift an average game slightly. Paperboy is a classic example of that. But if you strip that away and take it to its core game, as this has done, you've got the exact same problem you had with Paperboy. It's not very exciting if you do that. So I suppose you got an audio cassette with this. This must have been a vogue thing at that time. I don't remember many of them, but you got an audio tape with this, like a cassette that you got with the game, so you could play the actual audio. I'm not sure if it was the audio from the game or some skate-inspired music. I don't know. But I think it was the arcade music. So you could listen to that. Anything would be preferable to the bloody horrible Ben Daglish arcade music conversion because I think it's horrible. I don't like the original music it's based on, which is only one of the themes that's in the arcade. There's several, and I think they're meant to be kind of pop-punk-inspired tunes, but it done in the way that's kind of that sort of sound processor that hit those arcade games around this time kind of does them, so not great. And then you got the C64 version, which I think, because the graphics in this must have taken up a fair chunk of the old C64's memory, I don't think there was a lot of room for the music. It certainly feels to me like it was an afterthought, because it's not Ben Daglish's finest moment. He's far more capable of music creator than that. Not very nice anyway. I never liked this arcade. I never really liked the C64 version, and I never understood the review in Zap. To this day, even when I read it back, I didn't. Skate or Die is a much better game in every way than this. So just go and play that. If you want to play a skate game, you'd play Skate or Die. I don't see really any reason why you'd want to play this. This is another example of a dull arcade making for a dull arcade conversion. So not for me, this. The only addendum I've got, by the way, at the end of all that, is there is a US version of, again, a US version of this, which was Mindscape version. And as is always the way, this is a weird old thing. The mainstay of the game is basically the same. The graphics on the main sprite are better and is animated better and controls slightly better. It controls more like the arcade. So it feels a little bit more like you're on a skateboard because it's got a little bit of inertia. You've got a little less control. It doesn't feel so robotically controlled as this one. The music's still pretty grim, though. And the scrolling is jokey and slow. They're not my favourite words to describe anything.
I'll be a chicken.
Yeah, jerk chicken. The skate parks are small and the main map is massive. So there's kind of a weird scaling issue. So when you go to, I went to the downhill slalom thing on it, and it was like 3 flags. Yeah, you've done it. It was like, what? That's it? Then I went back to Skate City, and it was like this enormous mega park that took ages to scoot over. I'm like, God, this is so dull. So anyway, that's kind of the problems with that. It's also multi-load, which the C64 UK version is not, I don't believe.
No, it's not.
So what the US version is. So obviously you've got more graphics, you've got title screen, you've got in-between level stuff. So when you complete a level or complete one of the parks, you get an image of the skateboard with the one you've completed on it. It's very akin to the way Outrun worked. It just had a little bit more in between. I'm guessing disc games just had more space to be able to throw stuff like that in. It just still doesn't feel very exciting though. But I think that's more of a statement about the game in general for me. So it's not something I really liked. And at full price for 85%, I don't get how it got 85%. I think it's a bit of a jip. But what did you think of 720 Degrees?
Yeah, it's converter for hire. Chris Butler, he's back, isn't he? The conversion of Atari's game. I never played this in the arcade. I don't remember actually ever seeing it there, but I remember seeing it on the C64. Quick look on YouTube. It's definitely an Atari arcade game of that era. It's got the graphical style and that bass sounds, those bong, bang.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's not nice.
It sounds like Marble Madness, Roadrunner, and Paperboy. There's those same. Is that like you said, that sound chip? There's something in there, and you just listen to it. It's got that noise.
Might be the Pokey chip. I think. I don't know. We'd have to dig into my Chips book or summon the guru and ask him. But
the visuals have that kind of weird, sort of high-res, sort of spritey look that there was that look that Atari had in that period.
Yeah.
And this looks like that in the arcade anyway. So if you're probably like that, you might like this. I don't know. The C64 version, well, this is the UK version or EU version. It captures most elements of the arcade game, free roaming, which is unusual for the time, especially coming from an arcade game. So I thought that there are elements in this. So take this that will inform later skateboarding games such as Tony Hawk's and Skate. I've
never played either of those. I imagine you're accurate there.
Yeah, far more than Skate or Die did, which has more that Epics mold of game design. So your piecemeal events thing. Whereas Tony Hawk's is, you get an area to go around and you got Skate and you got 2 minutes, something like that, and you got to grind and do all the tricks and everything. And Skate is kind of more open world. You go around, you do your tricks as you wish and feel like that. Okay. So in that respect, it's like that. So in that respect, I think this is quite an important entry into the genre, into that skateboarding genre, because I don't think anything's really done it like this before. Whilst the C64 version, it's a decent version of the source material. The controls are tight. It's got smooth scrolling. As you said, yep, a horrible soundtrack. It's just not much fun to play. So it looks really drab. None of the color of the arcade game. Lots of black and darkness and big chunks of blue and brown. It just doesn't look nice. I was thinking that I can't help but feel that Chris Butler could have done with working with a dedicated graphics artist at this point.
Yeah.
As next to something like Skate or Die, this looks really basic. In terms of what that looks like and what the some of them are ex-Epic guys, and what they can bring to a game. Even working with a graphics artist, what they can do can make it. But this that's blocky and a bit, and it's smooth and plays all right, but just doesn't look that great. I can only guess US Gold didn't want to spend any more than they needed to on it, so it was like Chris Butler will do everything. So that'll be that really. Yeah. It gets. I found it also got really repetitive really quickly.
Absolutely, it does.
There's no real sophistication to the controls, and maybe something bespoke for each event. I guess that's a symptom of the original game. And as you said, like Rampage, average begets average. The only real interest here, as I noted, is what this kind of skateboard open world game design would lead to some 10 years down the line with, like I said, things like Tony Hawk's and then games like Skate, Thrasher, and all those kind of things that would hit when the PlayStation and things. And I think this is an early nation entry into that kind of skateboard, which would become incredibly, hugely popular when Tony Hawk's arrives. And then Tony Hawk's 2 especially, because that really did set the bar. And then jump over it with an ollie. Hey.
Wonder if Atari had some experimental control system on the arcade. I can't remember seeing the arcade.
I've no idea. I've only been able to look at it on YouTube, and I didn't really play it, so I didn't play it or anything. But I've never
four trackballs that represented the 4 wheels of the skateboard, and you had to roll all 4.
It's like the evolution of Marble Madness. This is Skateboard Madness. That was the original title for it. I didn't like the way you just did try to do tricks just by waggling the joystick. It's like
no.
Nothing pleasant in this. There's nothing pleasant. No, I didn't like this. Wasn't for me. Sure, it's some people's cup of tea, but just interesting in that where it would lead.
Yeah, it's a little footnote, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, early entry in the skateboarding open world genre, should we say. There we go. That's it. 720. No. Let's move on. And I can tell you all about Ninja Hamster. Ninja Hamster. $9.95 this was, Graham. $9.95 from CRL, I believe.
I've lost all ability to think.
The most interesting thing about this, I've noted, is that Zapp's review. And the start of the review says, in the twilight days of the beat-em-up. Calling that early. I really went down the beat-em-up genre back then, because they keep saying it, and any new beat-em-up comes on, they're like, oh, God, we're fed up with beat-em-ups.
I'm so tired of these beat-em-ups, all 3 of them, they're doing our heads in now.
I know. Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat are just around the corner, so okay. And then Virtua Fighter, and obviously, you get the joke, but anyway. Ninja Hamster is a port, I think. I think it's from the Spectrum original that was designed by Colin Ajayi I'm not sure how to pronounce that name. It was ported to the 64 by Gary Tomlinson, who seemingly worked on very little else that we've looked at or will look at in the future. I couldn't find anything. It also has graphics by the Wise Owl graphics team.
Okay.
I have no idea who they are, but looking at this, I am not surprised they didn't put their own names to it. That's all I can say. So it's a one-on-one side-on fighting game, and it's the tale of the returning hero, Ninja Hamster, who even the brave fear his name. That's on the box, that sentence, and it does my head in, because grammatically, syntactically, it's so badly wrong. Who even the brave fear his name. I
got an headache just thinking about that.
It's like... I can't even pick out what's wrong with it, because everything is.
So want that on a t-shirt now.
Who even the brave fear his name.
Just so people look at it and go, this t-shirt's its syntax is hurt my brain hole.
I feel I'm dumbened. Anyway, after being on a journey of enlightenment, Ninja Hamster's returned to find his village under the rule of a gang led by the sinister Rat and the Lizard of Death. And you must fight 6 members of the gang as well as the 2 gang leaders to save the village and free them from the terrible yoke of rat and lizard oppression. It's a classic tale of returning to the Shire to see off Saruman template. That's what it is.
Yeah, it is. Told classic. In only the way a ratty version.
A rat, hamster, and a lizard could tell it. It's like a really
rat, hamster, and a lizard went to a bar.
They had a good night.
It's like a really crap version of Winning the Willows. I say, Toad, what have you got there? Ratty, don't hit me.
Ratty, stop killing lizard. That seems mean.
Absolutely. Badger will come and he's very good at Taekwondo.
Badger doesn't want to be coming here. Stay at home.
Anyway, when the game loads, a bland blue and black title screen greets us to prepare us for the range of visual styling in this game. We can play 1 or 2 players with keys or with joystick. There you go. That's your options. If you press joystick control, you get a list of the moves. I was just expecting you to select joystick, not give me a list of the moves, which is kind of handy, I suppose. But
is it? Didn't help me in the slightest.
No, it didn't, because you don't need them. Without the joystick, these are the moves that are thus. If without the button pressed, you get up for jump, you got left and right to walk left and right, and down for crouch. You have up and right gives a left fly kick, down and right is a right fly kick, down and right to jump. Kind of wrong. Down and left is a left punch, and up and left is a right punch. With the fire button pressed, I know. With the fire button pressed, right and fire is a mid kick, fire is a low kick, up and right is a high kick, and down and right is also a high kick. That's what it said. That's what it said. I've written it down exactly as it said it. So I don't know. I just don't know. It's all very strange. With all that memorized, let's get to the game. Selecting the one-player mode launches you straight into things, and it's round about now that the horror sets in. You're on the left of the screen and your opponent is on the right, in traditional fighting game style. The UI along the bottom of the screen gives you score, the name of the game, massive letters, as per normal for loads of these things, and the high score. On the left and right of the screen are 2 trees. On these trees, your health is represented by a decreasing bar. The trees frame the action by meeting across the top of the screen, and there are also 2 apples on either side, along with what level you are on. So in the top left, top right, there's an apple, and then there's the level you're on in the middle. All of this is represented in a horrible mix of blue, black, green, and brown. Horrible.
It's not a good choice of colours, isn't it?
Just not. The sprites for the characters are monochromatic animals, showing their obvious origins on the spectrum, and the trees and apples are bitty and unpleasant to look at. Why we also need to be reminded of the title is beyond me, but here is that trope in another bloody game. Anyway, so it's a beat 'em up, and the aim of the game is to keep hitting your opponent until their health bar on the tree reduces to 0, and then they'll be knocked out. Doing this takes a bite out of their apple. And you must do this, not once, not twice, not thrice, not 4, not 5, but 6 bloody times to totally knock out your opponent and progress to the next level. The combat, to use that word in a very loose term, consists of little more than constantly spamming the same moves and hoping you can whittle the health bar of the enemy down before it grows back to full again. Because yes, that's what it does. If you move away from the enemy, both yours and the enemy's health will slowly refill to full, so you must always keep up the assault in order to prevent this from happening. The issue here is that you will not want to do that. The fighting is awful. It's on a par with that Samurai Warrior game we looked at, with no impact, the punches or the kicks that you do. There's no sound effects to speak of, so no feeling of contact beyond seeing the health bar and the tree go down. The music's not too bad by Jay Derritt, and is the only redeeming thing in this pointless release. There's no enjoyment to be had here when the first opponent can be defeated by just holding right and fire. There's no learning curve, no feeling of getting better. The game is slow and floaty, and just lacks all the advances we've seen in fighting games over the last few years. It's a baffling release. We have Exploding Fist, IK, IK Plus, Night Games, and countless other fighting games on the market. Yeah, Kung Fu, just loads. Even Kung Fu Master. So in what world does anyone think this is what the C64 market needs? It's a bag of arse from start to finish, and I was unhappy that I had to endure it. What about you?
This is a frightfully bad thing. It's horrible in every way. And I agree with everything you've said. The only thing I'm going to add, and I'm not going to labour it, this point because it's so bad it doesn't deserve it. The terrible monochromatic sprites made me angry. The badly drawn backgrounds made me angry. The sporadic music that grates within seconds made me angry. The full price of this made me angry. And the fact that they thought that this monstrosity of turd going toe-to-toe with things like IK Plus, IK and Where the Exploding Fist, just to think of 3 fighting games, that are great. There's no place for this garbage in this universe. This should be erased from time and space. So it looked like the crap Spectrum port. I can only imagine that Spectrum owners are probably angry about this as well, which I think is exactly what it must be. There's nothing about this that is remotely good. What on earth was CRL thinking here? Just bloody terrible. No. Yep. No. Get lost. No.
A game that even the brave fear its name.
Exactly. Do you know, I once accidentally, and it was a genuine accident, my friend had put their hamster, it wasn't a ninja hamster, but he'd put his hamster in one of those balls, the balls that they run around in.
Yeah.
And as a joke, I came before I came into his lounge. The lounge door was closed, and before I came in, I just sort of kicked the door open, and it hit the hamster in the ball and made it smack against the wall and killed the hamster outright. Because
Oh,
hamsters
no.
are easily frightened to death. I didn't mean to do that, but that was
Aw.
Kevin. Or was it Steve?
I thought Kevin was
Steve
a gerbil.
hamster. No, that was Roland Rat. He burst in on the set of Roland Rat and kill Roland Rat. Yeah, well, that would not have made more sense to have those characters in a fight. Anyway, this is crap. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Rubbish. No.
Yeah. No,
Full
that'd be-
price. Full price.
Full price for this tosh.
Honestly, when I saw it load up, when it had loaded up, I actually laid an egg. I've got it here. I'm going to send it to you so you can look after it for me.
I will. I'll keep it warm between my thighs.
Well, you'll know you'll need to do that because obviously you have to nest on the eggs that I produce. That's just the way it's always been.
I know.
Anyway, it's just been a while. It's been a while. I can't tell you what it hurt, but it's fresh.
I am your nester.
God, that's freaky in every way that it can be. But still more interesting than that crappy game. No,
Yeah, it
rubbish,
was awful.
rubbish.
Bloody awful.
Horrible. Not the
It
worst
was.
one we're going to play either. So, but bad.
Might not be. We'll see. That's enough of Ninja Hamsters. Let's move along. To our next one. This and one more before we go to a break. Graham, I, Alien, you, Graham.
Me, Graham. So I, Alien, this is another CRL
It
game.
is. CRL double bill. Could
This
only
is
mean one
created
thing.
by... Probably. This
The
is
future
created by
taken root in the
Andy...
present.
Again, it is done. This is created by Andy Jervis. Title screen was by Andy Jervis. Musician, Andy Jervis. Yeah, Andy Jervis is very clearly in control of this one.
You see how it's not Ainsley Jarvis?
Ainsley Jarvis. Having trouble, Ainsley. So I'm going to read the blurb off the back of the inlay because I think it's important for a number of reasons. One, because I want you to feel the pain as it changes from one person perspective to another midway through. And you'll know exactly the point. So it says, they said we were friends. They said they'd come to negotiate the trading of rare minerals. Standing in the shadow of the dark, dismal starship hovering silently above, we were completely unaware of the macabre fate that awaited us. No, the humans hadn't come in search of precious minerals. They had come for us. Radiation poisoning from a recent nuclear war had driven Earth's entire animal population into premature extinction, forcing the humans to scour new planets for livestock and laboratory specimens. Our fate is sealed. Or is it? There is one last chance of survival. Hidden deep within the bowels of the planet lies an old escape pod. All you have to do is fight your way through the starship, across the planet's surface and through the underground sewer to the escape pod, so you can fly to your neighbours for help. Should be no trouble for a super alien like you. By the way, did I mention the bomb? That's the inlay.
Who's talking?
Yeah, exactly. It starts off with one, clearly that's the alien that you play, say it's starting from the beginning. Then it switches to someone going, hey, have you heard? Anyway, I thought that sets the scene anyway. So just to reiterate, really, due to the Earth becoming void of essential foodstuffs following a nuclear war, the humans now search the galaxy for other sources of precious protein. All the proteins. Because obviously, I know protein is healthy. Anything with the word protein on can't be unhealthy. And they've even put it on Snickers bars because that makes them healthier. Anyway, don't get me started on that. So, in this game, you play an alien creature that has been captured and taken aboard a human ship. Luckily, you managed to escape your captivity and now must navigate your way off the spaceship, get down to and explore the planet's surface, look for and go into the underground sewers to find some kind of ancient escape pod. Proto-Halo, if you ask me. Not really. Just, the story might be a little bit. You start on the spaceship here, represented by V-style repetitive corridors and color-coded teleport vents, which you must navigate and slide through on your way around. The goal is to find the exit, but this is made more difficult by an army of annoying enemies that will bother you endlessly as you plod around and drain your energy if they touch you. If all your energy is drained, you are dead. You can shoot them with your limited supply of blaster bullets, and some of the aliens will handily drop extra crystals, acid flesh to boost your firepower, and bloody annoying transmitters that reverse your controls for no reason whatsoever. The corridors also have items that will trap you and jumping hazards, so you need to tread carefully and make a bloody map, because you're going to need it. You might come across fellow prisoners, and if you do, you can release them. Doing this for 10 of your captured amigos will give you an extra life. You can also blast their cells and kill them too, so you've got to be careful, because otherwise you end up killing your friends, and that's not really nice. It's not really nice to do that, so you end up killing your co-people, whatever you call them, your fellow prisoners. Annoyingly, the humans have also triggered a time bomb, which counts down as you explore the corridors. Dotted around the confusing map of corridors, of course, are bomb reset points, which will put the timer back to the start. So you need to find that and look for the exit, as well as doing all the other stuff I've said. So the graphics here are okay. They have that CRL look, which we've come to know and love. They seem quite small, but they are reasonably well realised and do kind of work in the context of the game. The sound is adequate, with an interesting title tune. None of those things are what you'd call classically terrible. The screen is basically split into two sections. The top half is the game window,
Here you can see 2 corridors maximum, and it's where you control your little creature. The joystick controls your movement. Up angles are jump, fire is shoot. When you get to a teleport, you can push up and down to slip between the levels. It plays very similarly to V in that respect, only with fewer doors. The levels are essentially a maze and an annoying one, given that they predominantly look completely identical. The lower half of the screen is your UI. This tells you the number of lives you have remaining, the number of prisoners you have rescued or not, the time bomb countdown, your energy level, current score, and the number of bullets you have remaining. The main issue here with this game for me was boredom. The game is very repetitive and quickly becomes dull. It's also bloody difficult with all the enemies attacking you all the time. You would need to map this heavily to get anywhere, and the corridors all seem to look identical or the same. There are some tiny alterations here and there, but the maze-like notions and walls will soon lead to frustration, as will falling into some of the traps, etc., because sometimes you can fall into an area where you simply can't get out, and you're going to have to die to get out of that. It's not a bad premise. Almost felt proto-Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey in some weird ways, if I was being very, very, very kind. But the game just becomes really dull really quickly, and it's a shame. If you kind of like this arcade adventure, and you can put up with its issues, dreary maps, boring maze-like logic, and endless annoying bugging enemies, this might be one for you and your wonderful life in gaming. For me, I don't dig this kind of shit, so it wasn't on my radar. Never heard of it before. Never really got into it when I played it. I tried and tried and tried, because I did kind of have a bit of an affinity. When these games are done quite well, Mission AD was a good one where you was running down up and down corridors, but it was far more exciting than this because of the pace of the game. This is just kind of plodding around. It felt like V all over again. And for the same reasons we didn't like V, I think I didn't like this. So I'm sorry, iAlien. It's not for me. What about you?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I said last week, didn't I, we were talking about Freddy Hardest, that the V template for games is inherently boring.
Yes, you did. You called it. You called it.
And here we are with ample proof of that claim. iAlien, it's technically well made. Andrew Jervis, doing all roles. So, fair play to him. He's done everything, so good stuff. But the game itself, as you rightly said, boring and dull. The visuals are okay; they're quite colourful and well animated. But I thought there's just no coherency to any of it. It's just a series of weird monsters and mechanicals that come floating along. There's no, what are they? Just what is it? It's just stuff. It's just sprites for the sake of sprites. Just stuff. The backgrounds are okay, yeah. They're colourful. They're all right. The music on the title screen, I thought, managed to hit a tone that sent me running from the room for earplugs.
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
It's really, it's high and twee, and I was like, oh my God. Aye. And the sounds in game are just perfunctory at best. It's just another bland entry from CRL. There's nothing beyond take up space on a disc or tape. It's not bad. It works. It's just there. A game on the shelves and ultimately very forgettable. It's not doing anything beyond what we've seen before. I got stuck in a pit as well, which I could not get out of, and that was the point.
Yeah, so that's the one I mentioned. There's a few like that in it.
Yeah, just get stuck in a pit. I couldn't get out of it. That was it. Turned it off and planned to never think of it again.
Do you know they went crazy over the music in the Zapped review as well?
No, the music's not very good. It's the wrong side of twee and high pitched, and I was like, aye, it's unpleasant. It made my eye twitch.
Shrill.
Yeah, it's just like, I was like, so I started the game quickly. It does all that sort of thing as well, where they do that. It can be done quite well, but here it's not. It's just where they do that sort of character sort of fade in between the game and the fade sort of thing between the fade and the title screen. It's a nice effect, but it's just this got 62%. Yeah, it's the definition of average. Just it is what it is. Yeah. I don't know. Surely things must get better.
Things can only get better.
Surely they must. Let's move on to our next one. Last one for this part. Jinks.
Hey.
Jinks. Scrolling, unfathomable breakout.
Yes.
That's what the world of 1988 was crying out for. Scrolling breakout. This is Jinks. There's no real story to this. You're a bat, but not a flying bat, not a rodent. But no, Count Dracula
a
bat. You're a
kind
bat.
of thing,
Yeah. But unlike most breakout bats, you are not a rectangle. You are a triangle. Yes. A shape of 3 sides. With the press of the fire button, you can flip on the horizontal axis. I think it's the horizontal axis, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What this means is that you can either have a flat top with the triangle pointing downwards or the triangle pointing upwards. The
sound like you were describing
upwards.
haircuts in the 80s then.
I was going full on.
How do you want your hair, mate? Flat top with the triangle downwards or upwards?
Kid K, and what's his name? What were those? What were they called? Oh,
I can't remember. Everyone I knew had flat tops at a certain point.
Yeah. What was the film?
Not me, though, or you.
No, I had a mullet.
Yeah, and I had straggly, long, horrific nonsense.
Yeah, I was business at the front, crap at the back.
You shaved off your sideburns.
I did. It looks even stupider. Yeah, so you have the triangle pointing upwards, whatever. You can hit the ball at angles because of this triangular shape. Because you're a triangle, you're a triangle. No rectangle, triangle, Toblerone, pyramids. All great.
Oh, good.
Unlike this. Upon loading, you get quite a nice little title screen, actually, with some decent bas relief visuals and some options. But of instant note is the rather pleasant and bittersweet music from Mr. Chris Hulsbeck.
Yeah, doesn't suit this game.
If this game has one saving grace, it doesn't save the game, but if it's one positive thing, it's that. The soundtrack to this game is very nice. The tunes in it are excellent, adding an otherworldly atmosphere to proceeding and something different to our usual C64 music. It sounds just unlike other stuff we've heard.
Very melodic, isn't it?
Yeah. Signs of things to come, I think, from Mr. Hulsbeck, as we know. But it is. It's a really good tune. And I like the way as well, when the music looped, it was in like a different key every time.
Yeah.
Very clever stuff going on there. And I sat there listening to that music for ages on the title screen.
It's really good.
And the high score tune, or whatever, the end screen tune's really good as well. She never gets cut off too early. Anyway, this was created by the combined talents of Bernd Lintermann, Matthias Gies, and Holger Flottmann. That's the best I can do.
Yeah.
You are?
You've done well.
Thanks.
Put some ice on your tongue now. You've just twisted it into a knot.
I had to turn it upside down with the triangle bit downwards. And with some options to choose from before the game starts, we can change the speed from slow to normal to fast. And we can change the gravity from weak to strong. Once you've selected your preference, press fire and the game starts. A bouncing ball is dropped from a tube, and then your triangular bat appears. You can control this in all directions, and the aim is simply to get the ball from the left of the level to the exit at the right of the level. Okay, remember, this is scrolling breakout. But it's not really breakout. It's just a bat and ball game with some obstacles.
It's ball through.
I don't know what it is. It's just odd. It's made trickier trying to get there by the presence of various obstacles, such as bricks, from breakout. But, whatever. One-way gateways and other objects that will kill your ball or bat outright, like floating screws and pools of acid. Yes, contact with these, and it is instant game over and back to the title screen. Should you make it to the end and get into the target, then you enter the interlude.
Dun, 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 dun.
It's capitalized, so I've got to say it in a certain way. You got to try and bounce the ball into a numbered square, and that's the level you'll do next. There's only 4 levels to this. If you complete all 4, you just go through them with more tricks and traps or whatever. That's it, really. Bi-directional scrolling breakout, a thing no one asks for or wanted. No one, anywhere, ever. We've mentioned before 3D breakout that someone made that we knew. No one ever wanted it. No one. Breakout was fine as it is. It's 2D. It's a 2D game. And it's a single screen. Stop playing with it. The graphics start out okay. In that first level, they're a bit gaudy, but they're okay. But the later levels, the other levels, they're really ugly. Ugh. It's really hard to see what is what. It's just hard to make anything out. So navigation becomes more of a pain than it already is. Because that's where the main issue with the game lies. You spend the entire game, you're just chasing the ball. That's what I found I was doing. I wasn't controlling the ball in any way. I was just chasing it as it bounced merrily away down the passage, going off. I couldn't do anything about it. And how you think you should be able to affect it doesn't happen. There's no real consistency to the strength of the bounce you will get when you hit the ball. Moving the bat up into it in an effort to give it more strength doesn't work. So you're trying to hit it to get it higher, but don't do that. It just stays at the same height. It feels entirely arbitrary as to what the ball will do at any given moment. So you just aim it right and hope it makes its way down the level to the exit and avoids everything, because you don't really seem to do a lot. What this all boils down to is just a concept no one wanted played out in a way that is very hard to enjoy. I didn't get it. I just didn't get this. It's another one of those games where someone thought, scrolling breakout would be really cool. And then they've done it and they've made it and they've gone, we've made it now. And everyone's gone,
there it is.
Yeah, you have. It's like the lines from Hellraiser 2. Here it is. Yes, it is. They've made it now. Yes, they have.
Yes, they have.
That's it. And it just feels weird, and no one wanted this. But I'll say the music's nice though. But on screen, there's not much. I don't know. I don't like this. It's not very good. What did you think?
It's an attempt at something, isn't it? An elongated breakout, long breakout, break along. I don't know. I was trying to name it by what exactly it was.
Arc along.
It's got some nice production. Triangle ball bouncy along. I don't know. It's got a nice production. As you say, good music, some sampled sound in there, some sampled dialogue. In-game graphics were a bit hit and miss, but they were okay in the first level anyway. They kind of, like you say, go downhill. But the graphics and the physics was very good on the ball that you bounce across. The crossball could be crossball, couldn't it? But the physics were quite good on that.
But you couldn't do anything to it.
No, it just felt like it was like exactly as you said. I've noted the exact same thing. It's an idea that nobody wanted.
Yeah.
Last time we saw someone try a new take on a breakout, they tried all sorts of innovations like having the bat on the left or the right, and it didn't work out well for that either particularly. At the end of it all, no matter what you do, it's basically a breakout game. This is kind of break across, bounce. I don't know. It's like, what is this crazy thing?
Break right.
It's also
break
quite
left.
frustrating in a weird way because, like exactly as you've noted, and as I've noted the same thing. This is more of a ball chase than a bat and ball thing. So it's slap ball. I don't know. It's just a lot more annoying than any of those. I don't think slap ball is ever going to be a name that's maybe
chase ball.
I don't
kick.
think chase ball. Yeah, chase ball maybe triangle chase ball. Try ball. I don't know. Anyway, I can see what they've attempted. I can see what they thought was probably a good idea, but it isn't. No matter how you dress a crab, it's still a crab.
And crabs go sideways like this does.
That is why I chose the
Side crab ball.
Crab ball. Side crab.
Triangle crab. Crabby balls.
Triangle crab attack. I don't know. I didn't hate
that
it.
Would actually be quite a good game. I could get on board with something like crabs. There's no crabs in this though. Lack of crabs.
Your triangle could have been a crab. Then it would have made more sense.
I do feel that Zapped's review failed to point out the lack of crabs in this game.
It was the crab percentage was alarmingly low. I have to say, I agree there. I mean, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate this game. It's not like Ninja Hamster that I actually hated. But
just a question though, what's the title got to do with anything?
I don't know.
Jinks.
I don't know. I think that because don't think they knew how to name it either. We've struggled just to think what it is. They were like, what can we call it? I don't know. Triangle ball, ball triangle, crab
Crabby
attack,
bounce ball.
crabby bounce ball. But what do you actually do? You bounce a ball across from left to right and get it in a goal. So it's football. No, it's not because you've got to. I don't know. They must have gone through hell, a nightmarish version of hell. And I think it got named by Pinhead in the end from Hellraiser. He just stepped in and was like, I call this game Jinks, you stupid idiots. Anyway, then he just disappeared. Like, how did he even get summoned? I don't know. He just something to do with this game. So the only thing I liked, as exactly as you described, we came, and now we came to name it. But it's called Triangle Ball Acrosser. No, it's not. It's called Jinks now, you stupid idiots.
A world of pain for you and those who play it.
So
no
yes,
crabs, please. It's a waste of good shellfish.
Who are you calling shellfish, Pinhead? Anyway,
I can only
as
think
I said,
they said breakout at the same time as each other, and they went Jinx. And I went, that'll do.
Yeah, yes, I think that's exactly how it came about. The only good thing is the music from Chris Hulsbeck because it is delightful. Everything else is not. It didn't light my fire back in the day. This I remember vaguely because I remember hearing the music a long time before I saw the actual game. My feeling was it haven't changed. It was a confusing array of stupid stuff. I don't know.
No, I've never played this. Never.
No.
Never once have I come across. Never once has Jinx crossed my transom.
No. Get back into hell. Dr. Chenard invented this game. Chenard's game. Hey, shut up. Get in your bloody hole, you idiot. Take your game with you. But my game is really good. It's not good. It's rubbish. Get out. Sorry, I've just had a home invasion from Dr. Chenard. It's
Dr.
gone now.
Chenard. There we go. All right, there we go. That's this part. Sorry, it seems like a quite short half, but quite part. But crap games.
Yeah,
just all of them.
Crap games kill monkeys.
It is true. Please give generously to stop crap games killing monkeys. Anyway, there we go. That's it. That's our first part done and dusted. We've got 5. We've got films and we've got 5 and loads more stuff to come up. But on that note, I think we need to take a break because we need a palate cleanser.
I think it's absolutely necessary.
Absolutely. So give us a break. We'll be back shortly, and we'll be talking about films from February 1988. See you in a bit.
Cornish pasties filter their bursting seams and some lovely smooth gravy for our show sponsor, DavidHearnWriter.com, where you will find a whole bunch of brilliant audiobooks, bargain books, ebooks, and more. I can tell you, David once threw a toy frisbee into space for a laugh. That's just how he rolls. And is an amazing writer too. Check out this excerpt from his brilliant audiobook, Escape from the Commodore 64, which is available right now.
Well, Nell, long story short, he's supposed to be a part of a miners' strike, so I have zero idea how he found himself here. And yet, not the weirdest thing I've seen lately. Sarah mused, picking fronds of wheat from the soil. Do you have any idea what's going on with this glitch? Nell asked. It was that cartridge game with all the platforms, blocks and belligerent balloons that pulled me in. Same, Reese confirmed. I'm not sure I know any more than you. The first time the game tried to suck me into it, I managed to get free by reversing the joystick movement. See? Sarah said with a laugh, catching Nell's eye. That's what I tried.
Whoa, how good was that? I'll be having me some of that tasty Oreo goodness, I can tell you that. To get your own copy of that and all the other works from David, visit davidhearnwriter.com. That's David, Hearne writer.com. Now, go, go, go!
Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Yes, the Commodore is keeping up with you.
And we are back. As ever, as promised, we are certainly back. So let's get into films for February 1988. On the 5th of February is a big one. It seems big sci-fi titles at the start of this year. Didn't we have Predator last time?
Yeah, we did.
Last month. And now this month, 5th of February, RoboCop strides purposefully into town.
RoboCop.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Another great Basil Polidoris soundtrack.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me, and so on and so forth.
I know you. Just to say, I had the pleasure of going to see this at the cinema the other week.
It is very good in the cinema,
it was
RoboCop.
Ace.
Yep, very
so good. This film's ace. Let's not beat around the bush.
It is.
It's still ace. It's still brilliant. What we got to say about it? You want to go first? You go, if you want.
Well, there's actually a lot written about RoboCop.
Yeah, there is.
Not just in terms of, obviously, the obvious stuff, the fact that it's mega violent, that it was totally uncompromising violence as well. Infamously, some really gross, nasty stuff in there. But there's also loads and loads of, because it's also a darkly political satire. It's also, there's a lot going on in RoboCop. If you just took the surface of it as a film about, a cop that gets turned into a robot essentially, or a cyborg, and then stuff happens. If you thought that was what RoboCop was, which is I think what they did when they made that stupid crappy remake,
let's not talk
they just
about that.
totally no. But this is a film that is so rooted in it's an amazing film to look at from all sorts of different perspectives, whether you look at it from a sort of what it's representing in terms of the politics and the violence and the satire that it is and all of those things. It's a clever film. You could be easily fooled because it's wrapped up in such unbelievable violence. But even that's kind of comic book, isn't it? It owes a lot to Judge Dredd, I think, and everything else. I think RoboCop's amazing. I remember seeing it many moons ago, thinking it was amazing then. I've watched it so many times since. I've watched the uncut extra Blu-ray versions. I've seen it in the cinema like you. It's just an amazing thing. And a film I enjoy and watch to this very day. It's actually, I think, because it's special effects are done with kind of an older school type of effect, aren't they? Because they're done with stop motion.
Yeah.
They've actually dated really well. I mean, not all of them necessarily, but some of the effects in it, I think, even though they're obviously what they are, they still look pretty good. Some of them less so when Dick Jones falls out the building and his arms get longer and stuff like that. Not so good. But I still stand by this film. I think it's astonishing. So, and what an amazingly violent thing. It's crazy. The only things I can say that I would say finally are, it's always been a quotable film, even the weird cut versions on TV. It's always been full of amazingly brilliant and really horrific things. And I still maintain the guy that crashes his van into that chemical container and gets melted remains one of the most horrific images in any film from the 80s.
It's pretty grim.
And the full uncut murder of Murphy at the hands of Clarence Boddicker and his crew is also genuinely disturbing. And if you look at, or when you get a chance to look at they've released the notes that they made when they were rating it, the BBFC in the UK. They've released those on the website. So I'll put the link in the show notes so you can actually look at the handwritten notes of the reviewers who were reviewing the film, the censors, because it remained completely uncut in the UK at the cinema. I didn't know that. I always thought it was cut, but it wasn't.
Yeah, the version I saw the other week at the cinema was completely uncut. So.
Yeah, it was uncut
video,
at the
wasn't it?
cinema release. Yeah, it was. But it's uncut, and there's actually an explanation of the why they didn't do it. It's really interesting reading that the handwritten notes that are in there. I'd recommend, if you like that kind of thing, go and have a look at that. I've also found a couple of other articles about it.
Just off the top of your head, can you remember what they were? Just sort of Pricey or just do the reasons why? Yeah,
the rationale was that it was the scenes that most disturbed them were there's three. There's the guy who gets melted because they thought it was gratuitous, but because it goes beyond into sort of comedic sort of comic style, they let it get away with it because of that. So they say it goes on so long that it's horrific, but at the same time, you're sort of getting away with it because it's comic bookish. The Murphy scene where Murphy gets killed, they said it's absolutely horrifically gratuitous, but because he still survives and because he's technically the hero of the piece, then it's okay. And the third one, believe it or not, is where there's an allusion to a rape where the woman gets grabbed and he says there's more hair down there and they cut her dress with a knife, that part, and then but that's okay because Robocop shoots him in the cock. That's my summary. But that's honestly that's the reason, the rationale is because they didn't like the fact that he shoots between the woman's legs and there's like a bloody patch that appears on her dress or something like that, and they allude to saying that's not very nice because the implication isn't that she's been shot, but in actuality, because he's been shot in the cock, it's all right. So we got 18 rated, but it's completely uncut. But it's really interesting to read those thoughts.
I mean, she's clearly not been shot, has she? Because she runs up to him and he says that great line.
Absolutely, but that's the reason.
Trauma. I will notify a rape crisis centre.
Yeah, but that's why they get away with it, because he nearly didn't. You read it; it's skating pretty close to the wind.
Well, it's Verhoeven's first Hollywood film, isn't it? I believe
it is. There's another one before this, isn't there?
Was Flesh and Blood because he'd done plenty of films before. Flesh and Blood is the one before this with Rutger Hauer. But was that? I thought that was a European film. I think
it might be. They do mention one in the BBFC thing. They mention it. They allude to Verhoeven's previous film and his penchant for violence against women and stuff like that. Yeah, he's
done like what's he done? His Soldier. What's his Soldier of Orange, The Fourth Man, Flesh and Blood. Things like that. So it's Spetters. So he'd done a lot of Dutch films and things like that. So this was, I think, his first big Hollywood film. And I watched the making of and stuff. And there's the suit was a nightmare for Peter. Is Peter Weir? Yeah, it's Peter Weir, isn't it?
Peter Weller.
Peter Weller, sorry, Peter Weir's the director. We'll mention him later. Peter Weller. So there's all that going for it. But like you said, this film works on so many levels. It even, just as a straight out action film, it's great. But when you add in that external view of America, which I think is what Verhoeven brings to it, it's one of the things that people say is one of the best the things that people like about the Grand Theft Auto games, because they're made by teams outside of America but looking in. So when you're looking in at a culture, you can see the craziness of it. Like a country that, from looking inside, a country that has huge problems with certain things, but you can take your kids to Hooters. That sort of weird mentality of like that. Looking in from out, you're like, that makes no sense. And so stuff like that. So it has a different view to this from probably things what we've had from other action films. Like Richard Donner and people like that who are born and raised in the Hollywood system. You have someone coming in from outside having a different view, and they set it in an unusual place as well, Detroit, which is old Detroit, new Detroit. It's an unusual setting for the film to be, for an action film to be in. There's a lot going on in this film, and as you rightly said, that's completely lacking from that awful remake.
Oh, terrible!
Which is terrible, and also lacking. I don't mind RoboCop 2, but obviously we don't go anywhere beyond that to the RoboCop 3 and the TV show as well. I think there wasn't there?
No, Anakatu.
Anakatu, got a lot of Katu. Yeah, but it is, and it's incredibly violent, but it's also, like you said, incredibly quotable. The performances are excellent. Bodica, Weller's performance is amazing. Dick Jones, everyone's great in this. And playing it, I think that's the other thing as well, what the BBFC probably picked up on, is that it's not played entirely 100% straight. So it's not entirely serious. You've got, it's just a glitch. That line after that guy gets completely eviscerated by the Ed 209, but with the bullets just rip him to pieces, and someone shouts like, someone get a medic. It's like, it's not going to help, as you've noted there. It's not helping. Nothing is. Or like his the use of the massive spike as a USB stick. Always makes me laugh. I really wish that had taken off instead of what USB sticks became.
Which, of course, he stabs Clarence Bodica within the neck, which is something else they pick up on in the old BBFC.
Yeah, because they don't just stab him in the neck, do they? It's the rip and the
the big splash, and then the squirts of blood and the goodness me.
Yeah, it is incredibly, incredibly violent. And but it's also really stupid. I'd buy that for $1 and everything. And the guy who holds up the town hall. And
wants to carry really shitty mileage.
That and the TV adverts, which would inspire loads of stuff. It's another one of those films.
And the news,
mid 80s, just inspired loads of it's inspired loads of stuff that came after it because of the way its tonality and the way it did things. There's a game on the Dreamcast called Headhunter, and essentially they have live action newsreaders in it reading, comments on it stuff, and it's just straight out of RoboCop. It just takes that straight away. But that was a really good game. But its influence, along with things like Predator and Aliens, I think is large. So it's such a great film, and if you haven't seen it in a while, just go watch it.
Revisit, again. Yeah. It's a very dark critique of the 80s, Reagan's America in the 80s, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and it's because it's also business over everything.
Yes.
The police being controlled by business. We can control everything. Yeah. We can bring everything in. We can house 2,000 workers, and they'll need prostitution and drugs, and you can control all that, and we'll do all that. And business, as long as we're making money, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's not cop business; it's OCP business kind of thing.
Yeah.
I love the fact it's omni consumer products as well. It's just like some total non-brand.
Yeah, but that's what it would be.
Yeah, totally. It's very, 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 and oddly accurate in many ways. Not that we live in that kind of society, but the arbitrary nature of business uber alles is quite interesting.
Yeah, I think it's not far off it. I mean, I rate this alongside something like a film that becomes more sort of prescient as you sort of watch it every year. And I think the same thing about They Live. It's just you more and more you watch those films, you're like, you were, and apart from the watch traveling aliens, in They Live, obviously, but the central message of these films of what the 80s would beget.
Yes, and it's nice that because Verhoeven has never shied away from controversy. He never shied away. I mean, this is a horrifically violent film, as we've said, and it really is. So, if you've never seen this before, then you need to prepare yourself for that, because it is, and it flips the coin so often. So the one hand you'll be laughing for, and then the next minute you're being, it's horrified. You're like, oh my God, that's so horrible. And there's some amazing visual effects in this, even for the day they're good. I mean, the part where, even the RoboCop makeup itself and the way that it is sort of integrated into that suit, and there's an incredible amount of physical VFX in this, which are of its time, but I think it's Rob Bottin, isn't it? It's just, some of it's astonishing. Some of it is amazing.
And it's not his most violent film. He would go on to do Starship Troopers, or even Total Recall.
Well, Starship Troopers has its sort of affinity with RoboCop. They're very much of the same oeuvre, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very critical of.
And they've got that same kind of vibe, all net, all channels kind of thing. It's just.
Do you want to know
more?
Go
and watch it. Do you want to know more? Go watch it. And Clarence Boddicker remains one of the ultimate great villains in any 80s movie. I mean, I put him probably near the top. Between him and Ronnie Cox, they kind of ruled the roost with bad villains in Verhoeven movies.
Yeah.
And he comes out with some amazing one-liners all the way through.
True. If you want a great Verhoeven triple bill, then RoboCop, Total Recall, Starship Troopers is going to be a good night's viewing.
Yes, it is. Yes,
because you've got Michael Ironside in, obviously, in Total Recall. But we'll get to Total Recall at some point.
We will.
1990.
Yeah, we will
when that comes out. So there you go. RoboCop. It's great. Still is. Always was. Always will be. One of our friends. I won't say who at the time. He'd seen it before me, and he went, "It's rubbish." And then
I know exactly who that was.
Are you an idiot?
And he's a fool.
He was like, "No, it's rubbish. It's stupid." I was like,
and it is. One final thing to note there. Go and listen to the soundtrack, because the RoboCop soundtrack by Basil Polidorus is ace.
It is a corker.
Really underrated soundtrack. It's beautiful.
Yep. There we go. So after recovering from that brutal assault on the senses, you could go yourself have a bit of a bittersweet chuckle on the 14th of February. Nice. This be a nice Valentine's movie, I think. Planes, Trains and Automobiles.
Oh, great film. Such a great film. Again, another film I still watch, regularly quote, because there's moments in it that live with you. And that's what is the sign of sometimes great films, especially comedies, because comedy is so subjective. But this is a really funny film.
Yes.
With two really funny actors at the top of their game, with a really good script that they've kind of made their own. Everything about this is great. Great writing, great soundtrack, great cast, a really funny premise. It's just brilliant. It's one of my favourite comedies. And again, like I say, I watch it to this day, and it even ends with John Candy's massive face. What's not to like about that?
If you see it at the cinema, it's massive.
It is. Luckily enough, I did see this in the cinema back in the day. I went to see this in Oxford when my sister was studying there. So I went to see it with her. But yeah, just brilliant.
I saw this at our school. Saw this at Whitgift.
And even now, there's little bits in there. I can think of a million moments in that film that make me laugh. The fact that he burns up his credit card in the car. He shakes him and punches him. The fact that everything about it is brilliant. Come to Jamaica, man, dig it. Yeah, there's that. You stole it. He stole it. Honestly, it's ace. It's ace.
When he swears like hell at the woman when he's trying to get the car.
Yeah. Classic.
Obviously, the bit where's your hand between two pillows?
Those aren't pillows, yeah. Her first baby came out sideways. She didn't scream or nothing.
And it's also
she's a real trooper.
It's also got he's proud of his town. That's a rare thing these days. That's a line I use for so often, for so many things.
The same, exactly the same.
Oh, I love this film. It is great. It is amazing. It's John Hughes' move. This is probably the start of his move to more mature comedy, away from the teen dramas, because he did 4 teen dramas, I think, before for direction and writing this. Clever, touching, poignant movie. With 2 great performances from the leads. And it also includes, at the beginning, he has a race, doesn't he, with Kevin Bacon.
He does.
In the streets.
Yeah.
And I swear that character is the character that Kevin Bacon plays in She's Having a Baby, which would be Hughes'
I think it is as well.
film.
I think you're exactly right.
Advertising exec. It's a brilliant, lovely film. It's nice. It manages to tread that line between it's touching, but it's not schmaltzy. It has plenty of pathos. You feel for the characters. The reveal at the end is really well done.
The only criticism I've ever heard leveraged at this and some other John Hughes films, that are his later films, not so much his teen ones, but these ones, are his handling of the female characters in them. Because they all seem very one-dimensional. Yeah, they're either not present, they're one-dimensional, or they're kind of angry about things. And so they spend a lot of the time either reacting on the end of phones or... and they say that the way he not shoots women, but the way he shoots women in terms of films, tends to shoot them sort of flat, facing the camera most of the time. It's like he doesn't know how to handle women in film. And you sort of see that when you watch this and you watch some of the things like...
the wife, because his wife character in this, she's just waiting for him to get home. She lights candles. Yeah. She makes some turkey. She sets the table.
Yeah. She just pines for the whole film.
Yeah.
And if you look at the other films of this type, the Home Alone movies, the female character, like his mum, is just, she spends most of the time just screaming and just falling over, and it's really single-dimensional characters and have no depth.
She's having a baby, but the film's about Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So that's just, I've read a few different critiques of those.
It's a fair comment, yeah. I
bypass all of that because it's a funny film.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he does wear a hell of a nice watch.
I'm gonna have to say no.
I don't have the $42. I do have $17 on a Casio. I'm going to have to say goodnight. Classic.
Yeah, it is very good. A couple of days later, you could go Frantic on the 16th of February.
Yeah. I've not seen it in ages, and I watched it for this.
I watched it about 4 hours ago. I thought I'd give it another watch.
It's a Polanski movie, isn't it?
I flicked through it, sort of thing. This is, as I've noticed, it's a proto-Taken.
So it's nearly Taken.
It's nearly Taken, yeah. It's but just without Liam Neeson, without his specific set of skills. Because essentially, it's Harrison Ford goes to Paris with his wife, and she gets kidnapped, and he goes hunting around Paris for his wife. Yeah, goes frantic hunting for his wife around Paris. So what it is, but yes, it's a Polanski film. The thing, it's an interesting period this for Harrison Ford. Kind of reinventing himself as kind of the everyman. He's got slicked back hair in this. You always knew he was doing something different because he had a different hairstyle. Because he did 6 films during this period, kind of getting away from his action man part. So he did Witness, Mosquito Coast, Frantic, Working Girl, Regarding Henry, and Presumed Innocent. He worked with directors like Peter Weir, Mike Nichols, and Alan J. Pakula. There's Last Crusade in the middle of that, where he just kind of probably just needed some money to buy a new ranch or something. But he's redefining himself at this point, and he does some interesting stuff. Because remember, he started off in American Graffiti, didn't he?
You did.
Lucas's American Graffiti. So he's not without. And he did some other interesting films as well in that period, like Force 10 from Navarone and things that.
Yeah. Got about that.
So he's got an interesting body of films, but I thought this period of Ford's career is where he's clearly a bit fed up of being Indiana Jones or Han Solo.
Yeah,
and he just wanted to do some different things, and probably wanted to work with some more interesting directors. Not that Spielberg and Lucas aren't interesting, but do some more low key, just be the everyman that he can do.
It's a good job you said they're not interesting, because there was a drone strike aiming for your house from Lucas's own supply.
Those two was sort of redefining cinema at that point, weren't they? They were recreating it and turning it into something else. And I imagine that takes quite a toll. And everything you hear about Harrison Ford is quite a sort of quiet, private person who doesn't really like the limelight and everything and things like that. So you can imagine just wanting to do, let's just do some of these films. And I mean, if you watch Witness couldn't be further away from, the
true.
Star Wars and Indiana Jones films and things like that.
Literally the opposite of Star Wars, Witness.
Yeah, and Mosquito Coast as well. Things like that. So Working Girls, like a comedy with Sigourney Weaver and Melanie Griffiths in it.
That's correct.
And then you've got things like Regarding Henry, where he gets in, he takes a head injury and has to sort of learn to be himself. And presumably is a dark courtroom drama. So it's a very interesting period in his career, this. But Frantic is okay, I say.
Does it suffer from Polanskiisms?
What are they?
It's overlong.
It's not. No, it's not too bad. It just feels a bit. It's just. I don't know.
They get mundane. He suffers from points in his films where the plot stretches to a level of mundanity and then it draws it back. Rosemary's Baby suffers from the same problem, albeit that's kept together because of the actor in it, because she's amazing in it. But it suffers from the same thing. There's parts that just sort of feels like it just suddenly goes flat. It's like a cake. Suddenly it just drops flat and then it sort of rises again, then drops flat. And it's a lot of his films suffer from that. His later films just do it so badly. If you watch The Ninth Gate, it's a perfect example of a film that just seems to go up, down, up, down, up, down. It's
is that the Johnny Depp one?
Unfortunately, yeah. The one with the mysterious devil woman that floats down staircases really badly. And randomly boots this guy right in the balls, which is a scene that makes me laugh like, float down the stairs, kick him in the balls. There, we're done. She's the devil. She's a devil, that woman, a devil. She's a ball-kicking devil.
Sounds like a Cenobite.
It's really stupid, that sequence.
Yeah. Anyway, Frantic. That was on.
Good. I might watch it now, actually. Now you've given me the impetus to watch it. Maybe I will. I ain't seen it in like a million years.
It's just interesting watching Harrison Ford be a sort of person who who's not in control of a situation, whereas
I think I'll go for it.
So I think that's the thing. 26th February, The Last Emperor.
Oh, break out your Bertolucci cannons.
I've never watched this. As you've too many gongs. It's not for me.
Too many gongs and chimes. Ding 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 ding. It's like so many gongs and chimes. It's worse than The King and I, and that had a lot of gongs and chimes. Let me tell you.
Chimey gongs. I know him.
Yeah, he's in the film.
Hey, there he is. He's in the back. Hello. I'm
hey,
Chimey gongs.
You all right, mate? Yeah, you all right?
Good old chimey gongs.
You been in anything else since The Last Emperor? No.
No, nothing's needed. So many chimes and gongs. So felt a bit down on my luck.
But I say I watched it a long time ago, and I mean a long while ago. I just remember it being quite heavy on the brain and very harsh on the ear, because I just remember that's what my prevailing memory of The Last Emperor was lots and lots of chimes and gonging sounds. And
I've just seen that classic scene where he runs along with a big bit of material.
Yeah, and all the gongs go off. Yeah,
all chimey in the background. Hey, me, chimey.
Chimey kangaroo down sport. That's The Last Emperor Australian edition. Sorry, people who listen from Australia. I didn't mean to imply that you sing that song a lot.
We don't mention that man either. Same day, if you didn't fancy chimey gongs, you could have gone to see Stakeout. Yeah, John Badham film, isn't it? John Badham.
It is John Badham, buddy type thing, wasn't it? I have to say, my memory was very fuzzy on this, so you might be better looking. I didn't watch it for this, and I remembered vague things about it, which may not even be accurate. So
I mean, Badham's on. What's he done? What did he do before? I mean, he had quite a good run of.
He's got a good run of films. Badham,
yeah, Blue Thunder, War Games, American Flyer, Short Circuit, and then Stakeout, leading to Burn the White. So John Badham's he's a good Hollywood director, safe pair of hands to turn out something decent like this. It's Richard Dreyfuss, Emilio Estevez's buddy film. It's also Aidan Quinn's in it. It's really thin. It's a very thin guy.
Yeah,
it's very thin in this.
Vaguely remember it.
It's really 80s. This really 80s. It's just
you play some random saxophone sound out.
Oh, absolutely! From the way it shots to the soundtrack. There is at points. There's another buddy cop adventure with Dreyfuss he's the scummy one and Estevez is the uptight one. So they're always at each other and blah blah blah. Forrest Whitaker's in this as well.
Yeah.
There's really. I was watching some of it earlier on. There's some unpleasant voyeurism in this. I mean, it's a film about staking out a woman's house, and they're just staring at her, watching her from a house across the way. So a lot of it is just watching a woman going about her business, getting in the shower, doing. It's Madeleine Stowe. And doing stuff, and there's one bit where she sort of takes the top off, and they're all like going, "Yeah," and she sort of watching the other like.
See, I'm not seeing the problem with that. I might have to watch it now. Madeleine Stowe's gorgeous.
Yeah, she is. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it's still a bit. okay. It's not aged very well.
Yeah.
They just take great delight in watching her getting dressed. The camera zooms in and bits like that. It's like,
yeah, I mean, Hitchcock managed it perfectly well with Rear Window, and he didn't have any of that kind of nonsense. So come on.
No, the music's also terrible. It's the worst kind of licensed 80s pop and sax warbles.
Sax warbles. It's the guy that does them. That's his name.
His best mates with chimey gongs.
Chimey gongs.
Chimey gongs and sax warbles.
Hey, warbles, get in here.
No, we need it more sleazy. It's
like someone's got wind.
I said sleazy, not sneezy.
That's passing breeze.
Breezy. Sleazy, not breezy.
But yeah, I know exactly what I mean, because it's the same one that's in all the Lethal Weapon movies and any countless other 80s movies as that.
Yeah, it's another buddy.
48 Hours has it in as well. That kind of thing.
It will spawn a sequel, another Stakeout.
Oh.
John Badham will go on to direct as well. Because obviously I think it did quite well at the box office and it did all right. People kind of liked it, but it's just one of those. It's just
and Dreyfuss is a watchable actor, but in the wrong roles, he's
wrong in this role. They're the wrong way round.
Yeah. Yes.
Exactly watching it, Emilio Estevez, but Emilio Estevez has got like he's in this period of his career sort of thing where he's sporting a really ropey mustache.
I think he was going to say really ropey vest then, because he was Emilio Estevez.
No, they've both got really ropey mustaches, except Dreyfuss is all right, but Emilio Estevez is it's like when you see a 22-year-old man trying to grow a mustache and they can't quite do it just properly just yet.
It's never good.
No, it's not. His hair's bad as well. There we go.
You bitch.
I really am.
His moustache is terrible and his hair's terrible.
I mean, I can't talk. I had a mullet and a bum fluff
and
tash.
that jacket with those pants, get out of here.
Not in my house.
Not in my house. Not on my video. Get out.
He didn't say the magic word. Oh God, Nedry's fashion statement, fashion critiques.
Exactly. Come to Nedry's.
Come to Nedry's. Everything's massive.
Oh dear.
And covered in dinosaur slime. There we go. That's your films. 5 decent films there.
Yeah, actually, for the first time ever, I think we've had 5 in a row.
None of them terrible.
Can't speak too much for The Last Emperor, but I do remember it being quite visually
it won a lot
compelling.
of Oscars, didn't it? So it can't be bad.
Yeah, well, it's a Bertolucci movie, so it's going to look amazing.
Yeah.
Might not be about anything in particular, but go in there because Chami Gongs is in there, and he needs a bit of exposure.
He does.
He's not had so much work recently.
No, I know. He's down on his luck. When he walks around and Sax Warbles follows him.
Will you play something different? You're ruining my mojo.
Play something happy. I can't. It's a saxophone. It is impossible.
That'll do, yeah. That'll cheer me up. Yeah. Something him come with Homer's bottle.
Only sexy sax man from the Lost Boys can play something happy on the sax.
Oh, God, yeah. No, that is a very powerful sax player. No, he just tears those saxophones in two.
It's like watching the scene from Who Framed Roger Rabbit in the dip.
It is. It absolutely is.
There's just loads of saxophones in the corner going, no.
I still believe.
Crunch. And another one gone.
That's enough of that.
Wasn't strong enough.
$800 each, then, you stupid lump. Now you be torn in two. And I'm here to pump you up.
I'm here to blow.
Listen, you boily boys.
No one knows what we're on about now. We have to stop. That's your
Fritz
film.
and Schnitz.
That's your films from February. We're going to go away now. Have a drink. Probably come back. We've got 5 more games to do. We've got some crap verts, charts, and talk about stuff.
Right.
Whatever.
Stick around. Yeah,
we'll go for a break. See you in a bit. Bye.
A 10-kilogram bag of licorice all sorts and dolly mixture to our show sponsor, davidhearnwriter.com, where you will find an amazing collection of audiobooks, bargain books, ebooks, and more. David currently holds the world record on Tag for throwing a shoe. He's also the author of the fabulous book, Escape from the Commodore 64. In fact, here is a little audio bite.
Sarah opened the door to the next room, only to see 3 karate fighters engaged in combat before a gate and a beautiful sunset. She narrowed her eyes, taking in a cherry blossom tree, as the faint scent of lilac and rose wafted into the room. The 3 of them performed backflips before stopping and setting their eyes on her. Then their pants fell down. Thankfully, they were wearing virtual underwear. Sarah said, "Nope, not today," then slammed the door and returned to the gnome, who remained impassive, the flames being reflected in his beady eyes, which indicated the computer.
Well, bless my barnacles. That is some good fishing. Please visit davidhearnwriter.com. That's David, Hearne, writer.com to catch a whole lot more.
Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Yes, the Commodore is keeping up with you.
And once again, and for the final time for the month of February 1988, we are back. We have 5 more games to get through. Let's get into them. Graham, Deflektor. Raise deflector shields to front. Whatever.
Switch all power to front deflector shields. Doesn't help him, does it, that one? When Ben Daglish is on form with his music, it's good. And this is one of his good ones. I've actually seen him play this live as well. It's because he plays it on the bass part, and not all of it, because obviously there's other instruments involved, but he plays the bass part, and it's brilliant. This is Gremlin Graphics, conversion of I think an original Spectrum game. But either way, it's a conversion. The conversion's by Jason Perkins. The producer was Vortex Software. He had an unusual name, didn't he?
Hello.
What's your name?
I am
Mr.
Vortex.
V Software.
Vortex.
I am Vortex.
I am Vortex Software. How are you?
I am Vortex. All right, Mr. Software, in the room over there. The meeting's over there. Graphics here by Steve Kerry. And the music, of course, as I've said, by Mr. Ben Daglish. This is, as I say, the conversion of a Spectrum original. I'm not so sure of the lineage of that, but anyway. And this is quite the clever puzzle game, and both well-designed and bloody difficult, but quite compelling too, isn't it? Okay. The aim is to deflect your laser beam around a circuit so that you can complete the connection between your laser emitter and the receiver. Obviously, the path to do this is not straightforward, and the route requires you to deflect your laser around obstacles. To guide your laser around the circuit, you will need to bounce it off the reflectors that are positioned around. You can move your control icon with your joystick, and each of the reflectors can be changed to a different angle by placing your icon over the reflector and pressing your fire button. Obviously, if your laser's pointing at that, then it's going to change and reflect the laser beam to a different angle, and you get the idea of how the kind of game is going to work. So once you do that, you can change the angle of the reflection of the joystick, and then you can start to point at different things. In addition to that, there's also other items that will kind of block or help you. Some of the reflectors that you encounter will rotate automatically, so they'll be firing your laser off in 360 degrees. There's refractors that send your laser at different angles or randomly or in different ways. There's fiber optics even that will transfer your beam to other transmitters. So although the environment itself is pretty hazardous anyway, those things are actually designed to kind of help you. But there are also mines and absorbing blocks which will cause your laser to overload. If you point your laser back onto itself, it will also overload. And even if you try and push your laser out too far without anything reflecting it, that can also cause overload. It's all particularly bad if you overload your laser. That means if it gets to the point where it pops or it goes boom, 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 and you've overloaded it too much, you've got like a little meter that goes up. If that gets to the top, then you've overloaded, you'll lose one of your 3 lives and it's back to the beginning of the circuit and you get to try again. If you lose all 3 lives, of course, game over, man, game over. To add further difficulty, each level is also littered with grey cells, which you need to blast with the laser before you can unlock the final door, which unlocks the sort of way to your connection, so you can get to the sort of laser receiver that you're aiming for. And of course, you're on a countdown, or in this case, a power drain that gradually causes you to lose your energy as you work your way through the level. If you do make the connection, it's happy days and it's on to the next level with more difficulty, more challenges, more obstacles, more things to try and bend and manipulate your laser around. Now, there's a lot to like in this game. I think the graphics were very well realized and they work for this game, which is good. It's nice and colorful, and the graphics are well drawn and quite colorful, and things are what they are. It can be a little confusing at the start, and as the levels get busier, the graphics kind of start to get perhaps a little bit busy on the eye. But I think once you're used to the parameters of what does what, you then focus on trying to navigate and figure out how you're going to get your laser around. The controls are simple enough too, which means you're not trying to figure out anything too complicated. There's no stupid levels of difficulty in terms of how you move your icon around. You move it around, you try and angle your laser, and that's kind of how you do it. So you load this game up, you get the gist pretty quick, and you're off. This practice modes, which have a slower energy drain and a slower overheat, which means you get a chance to sort of learn the ropes of the game, which is nice. And when you start, it follows a decent title screen with, as I said, some really nice Ben Daglish music. The game window is almost pretty much the full screen. It's played out over single screens, which is to its advantage, I think, here. So you get the maximum play area, and what little UI there is decorated around the edges, giving you a live score level and 2 indicators that represent your energy bar as it depletes and your laser overload that can and will shoot across if you challenge or hit anything that causes it to go up. Mm-hmm. Now, the challenge there is, of course, that some of the items will raise your overload level slower and quicker than others. So you've got to be mindful of that, and you can't leave it there for long because, believe you me, sometimes you'll place it there and think, just as you're trying to get it off the angle that it's on, it's too late. So you've got a little bit of trial and error there, but it's quite good for that. Now, I thought this actually looked nice. I felt a good return to form for Gremlin at this point because we've seen some pretty much, not so great games from them. They've all kind of limped along with the same kind of engine, same kind of look and feel in the graphics to some extent. This is a little bit brighter and more colourful, less reliant on sort of, chubby spacemen or multi-level stuff. It's none of that. It's a single screen puzzle game. And there's hints of other games here, obviously. We've kind of seen a little bit of this before in a few other things. A little bit of confusion in here. A little bit of that Dan Dare game where you had to angle the mirrors. And there was, what was that tank game with the mirrors as well? I forget what that was.
Yeah, that one. Yes.
So this one feels more complete than those to some extent. Maybe some confusion was a slightly different variation of that. But the idea of having sort of a trail of something to move around, and it felt polished. And that's a good thing, because if this game feels like it has a finish, it has polish and finish, and it's it does what it does. I think personally it could get tiresome for a number of different reasons. Principally because there's even though there's a save score version, I think maybe on the disc version, obviously there won't be on the tape, I don't think here, and so you might get bored of doing those early levels over and over again when you're reloading it. So I don't know, maybe you might get a bit fed up of that. There's no password system for getting back to the high levels if you've achieved the ability to get to those. So once you've switched off, you're going back through them all again. And I think that might be a little bit of a slog. But if you know how to do them as well, it's a bit of a pain, because if you know the formula of each level, they don't randomize or change. So if you've got to level 12 and then, you've died, well, but you know how to do levels 1 to 11, you just got to go back and go through the formula. And I think that makes for rote gameplay. This might have been more challenging if the levels did randomize a little bit, so you didn't always feel like you were having to attack the same thing over and over again. I don't know how much more complexity that would have added to the game design, probably a lot. But I thought this was okay. Got 81% in Zapped, probably about right. Price at full price, might just get away with it. If this had been a budget game, this would have been it would have been a sizzler, because the price would have actually matched what it is. I think possibly there's games that are better for less. So I don't know. I don't know if the price is right, or the price is wrong here. For me, I think it would have been a better hit as a budget game, but it is what it is. But I quite liked it, and when I was playing back at it, I felt like it was a good experience to play. It didn't leave me with the usual bad taste of some of the Gremlin games we've had in the past, or the recent past. So I quite like this one. What about you?
Rebel, by the way, was the game you were trying to remember.
Rebel, that was it. Rebel.
With the tank. What a neat game. Simple idea done well. I thought there were balloons. Burst the balloons in the time limit. Don't overheat the laser. That's it. Do it, just excellent stuff. Progressively complex levels. I quite like the addition of annoying gremlins that mess with your layouts when they appear and you've got to go over them. It's easy to get rid of them, but they can be really, you just move my design. Really good sound effects, nice music, decent visuals. Keep it simple and iterate on that idea in more and more challenging ways. Classic game design, really. This was originally designed by Costa Panaye on the Spectrum. It shows the same level of thought and design. He did Highway Encounter as well.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
And which we did like when we played the C64 version. We thought that was clever and well designed and stuff. So it's that obviously that guy has a good game design head on his shoulders, and this shows that I thought this was an excellent conversion by, as you said, Jason Perkins. In a sea of V clones, why, and dull and pointless multi-event borathons. This is such a welcome change of pace and design. It's clever, well thought out. I thought it eased the player in well with new features at a well-considered pace, and is above all both satisfying and fun. By some margin, the best thing we played this week, and I think underrated at 81%. It's easily as good as other puzzle games, got sizzlers like split personalities and things like that.
Yes.
I thought this was great. I really did enjoy myself with this.
Yeah.
Again, another game that I think came at just a bit late for me to actually get it or get playing it back in the day, but I found myself playing this for quite some time. It's just the sort of thing that would appeal to me, and I'm sure, and you'll probably know this more than me, but this is perfect, mobile fodder. There must be loads of these on mobile.
Yeah, there is already loads of this kind of thing, and also, if you think about it, heavily influenced on Portal, I think.
Yeah, maybe, yes, especially when you've got the two things going through in different directions when you sort of link them
and you
together.
got to bounce the lasers around. I don't know if that's more Portal 2 or Portal, but there's a lot of laser bouncing in one of them where you got to get it through the different portals and stuff.
Rebel did it as well. I mean, I imagine getting a laser from one point to another.
Loads of them.
Yeah, but this would be such a perfect game on mobile. You just tap the thing, and spin it or twizzle it or whatever, and
I'm pretty sure there is one. I'm sure I've seen
loads. There'll be hundreds of them, thousands of them. I'm sure there are because it's dead simple to do.
Well, you've said those words out loud, and that's it. So they've once just appeared on the App Store because, as we know, the Apple computers are directly connected to your brain.
Oh, no. Yeah, they are actually. Yeah, I wondered what that plug was at the back.
God, no, not that. God's sake. Now we've got to get rid of the chimey gongs game. I don't know how we're going to do that.
Oh, that would be great. Chimey gongs and sax warbles.
What a double act.
Yeah. Gongs and warbles. Yeah, Deflektor. Really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. I would have sizzled this all day long, personally, because I think it's well worth it. And was nice to play after the previous 4.
Yes.
Deserved that layout. There we go. Deflektor, we like that. Finally, one we like. Let's move on. Surely we'll like the next one. And we've got a budget title. This is a budget one. This is £1.99. This is ATV Simulator. It's a budget competitor to Kickstart appears in the form of ATV Simulator. It's from Codemasters with the original concept by David Darling. Now, that's what it said on Moby Games, original concept, David Darling. I just want to speak on that because let's face it, the original concept must have just been, how can we rip off Kickstart?
Yep, without a doubt.
Because we'd sat around the pub table. Kickstart's dead popular. I can rip it off. Give you a credit for that, David. Well done. That's the original concept.
Well done. Excellent. Well done.
Does that need a credit? Don't know. Anyway, the original Specky and Amstrad versions were by Tim Miller, but the SIG64 version has code from Digital Persuasion, which sounds like either a track by Kraftwerk or a really shit local synth covers band. Tonight at the Rose and Crown, Digital Persuasion.
Hello,
everyone.
Do. Hi, everyone. Do.
Bom, 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 bom.
Thanks, everyone. There'd be like golf claps, wouldn't there? Thanks, everyone. That was next one is anyone in for some popcorn? Get off.
We are Digital Persuasion. We're going to persuade you that the digital future is digital.
Bloody classic Casio keyboards.
Yeah. Track in there.
Oh, sorry, everyone. I'll start again.
Casio drum track.
Yeah. Bossa Nova.
Good old Digital Persuasion. Here all week. I hope not. Either that or they're the backing band at Butlins. Anyway,
the digital equivalent of Murph and the Magic Tones, that is.
Yeah. Mike Clark also worked on this, and Simon Francis. Why this needed so many people on code is beyond me. I mean, Digital Persuasion, which I can only presume is at least 2 people, because it's not one person. Surely you just don't call yourself Digital Persuasion.
Not unless you're a wrestler.
What do I know? I don't know. Music by Mr. 3 Second Loop, Dave Whitaker, and the loading screen is by Stephen Day. This is a side-on simulation of the new all-terrain vehicles, which are basically 4-wheeled motorbikes. And the plan was to do this in a fun way. Indeed, the back of the box states, quad racing at its best. Sand duning, snow donuts, dirt tracking, fun! Hyper jumps and 180-degree wheelie spins. Great fun. ATV's massive in the States, and soon will be here. A must for all ATV fans. Now, considering there are not many of them here yet, because they will soon be massive here, what's the market for this?
Yeah.
There's no one to buy it. And there wouldn't be anyway, because it's rubbish. Anyway, it's rubbish. It's a rubbish Kickstart clone. Rubbish. Sean Southern must have looked at this and laughed all the way to the courthouse. Anyway, this gets everything wrong that made Kickstart work. From the title screen, you can pick 1 or 2 players and keyboard or joystick controls. Starting the game sees you having to mount the bike. Why? Why do this? What's the point? Why make me do this? It's annoying and adds nothing. Just start me on the bike.
If you have to ask the question, you didn't get it.
In Outrun, imagine having to open the door for your partner, walk around the car and get in.
Yeah.
How bad would
You can
that
skip
be?
those bits, can't you?
You
can
just start me
skip
in on the bike, like Kickstart. Maybe they'd have thought that made it too much like Kickstart.
that. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to do something different. How about you get on the bike? Howard, you've done it again.
Yeah.
Boring. Don't do it. Then we have the visuals, which are a horrible combination of single colour sprites and multicolour backdrops. The obstacles, which are your usual jumps, fences and bumps and hills, are hard to read, and the only skill in this is knowing the speed at which to go over them. Once figured, there's no challenge. Add to this that you have a time limit. Why? Kickstart let you go until you've finished. Why punish the player in this arcade fashion? I can only think it's probably because there are not that many tracks. I don't know how many. I gave up playing well before I got to find out. Those graphics as well, just going back to this, your sprite that you have to get on the bike is just grey.
Yeah.
Just this grey humanoid, probably from Digital Persuasion. That's all I can think
is.
of. It's just awful. Yeah, I gave it. Add to this, you have to go back to your bike when you fall off. Again,
Stupid.
why? Pointless and dull.
Stupid.
Especially when you've fallen
Stupid.
off on a part where as soon as you get on, you fall off again due to the controls to get back on the bike are up and fire, which instantly pops a wheelie and flings you off again. Gah! It's just terrible.
We're like retrograding, going back in time to
Yeah,
mistakes
did they not
we've
look at? They
remedied.
obviously looked at Kickstart and then they described
Did
it
they?
to someone down the phone, Digital Persuasion, and he said, "I
Yeah.
can do that."
Loosely described, yeah.
The UI is basic with just speed and fuel across the top. Why fuel when the courses are over in a matter of seconds?
Don't question it.
This raises so many questions, this bloody game. In the middle is the timer for the event. As noticed, just like Kickstart, it's split screen. Adds very little to the game, though. This was awful. It only works to highlight just how good Kickstart was. And I've not even mentioned Kickstart 2, which is out at the same price as 24 courses and a course constructor. And it's brilliant to play. Go play that. Not this high-concept David Darling arse.
Yep.
That's all I can say about this. This was rubbish. Really, really bad. I mean, I was expecting something. I was expecting, do you know what I was expecting? What we're going to get in a minute. Grand Prix simulation or simulator.
Yeah.
BMX simulator. I thought this was going to be a top-down thing.
Yeah, no.
But they've gone for the Kickstart market. And if you're going up against Kickstart, then you've got to be good because Kickstart 1 and 2 are amazing. Always have been.
Exactly.
If you look at this and you go, oh, what have we played Digital Persuasion for? I don't know. I think they were just playing music in the background while Mike Clark coded. No, just put it out. It's £2. Someone will buy it. Terrible, awful game. What did you think?
I don't get what it's for. It's like a shit kickstart. It's shit start. It's been a while since we had a simulation. Kick shit. It's been a while since we had a simulation of a vehicle no one gives a crap about. So here we go.
Yeah.
So this one is to simulate an all-terrain vehicle, which it wasn't. Isn't a trials bike in Kickstart an all-terrain vehicle by definition? No matter. This starts with a jaunty 45-second Dave Whittaker tune that erases your brain up from what it sounded like the instant you hear it, which is clever, actually, to do that. The game itself is a flicky yellow background, yellow game with mini grey single-colour
yellow.
sprite that runs and jumps on the ATV, and then it's onto the course. Crash.
Hang on. Runs.
Animates, moves. And then it's onto the course, isn't it? And then it's just, and this reminded me of a moment in a Looney Tunes game where Daffy Duck, dressed as Robin Hood, tries to swing down a range of trees in order to assault somebody and steal some money off this rich guy that's going past on a horse.
Oh, yeah.
And he shouts, "Yoicks and away!" And it goes whack, and it hits the tree. And then, "Yoicks and away!" Whack, yikes and away. And it's that. Because all I did was go forward a bit, fall off, forward a bit, fall off, forward a bit, fall off. I mean, this is a crashy vehicle for something that's all terrain. I bumped into a pebble and it flipped over.
Yeah.
I never do I want to own one of them. Dangerous. There is nothing enjoyable in this monstrosity, from the eye-straining journey through the custard-coloured first sand dune level to the god-awful animated rider sprite from 1983 to the stupid controls and constant crashing. There is no redeeming feature here, just endless yellow eye strain and pain. Avoid at all costs.
Yeah, even at £2. Terrible.
They should
Terrible.
be paying me £2 back now for the time I've lost, my lifetime lost.
Absolutely.
Awful. How it got 42% blew my mind. It should have got 2%, if not nothing. Rubbish.
Yeah, it was dreadful.
Yep, a bunch of arsehole.
Let's speak of ATV Simulator no more and move on to our next simulator game. Graham, Grand Prix Simulator.
Grand Prix simulation, budget simulators. This is created by Adrian Shepherd. Title screen was Steve Day, or Stee to you and me.
Steve.
Musician, again, Dave Whittaker. Again, it's from Codemasters, so they just reach into the laboratory and pull out another 30 seconds loop. So it's budget super sprint, essentially, this really.
Mm-hmm.
The official super sprint had some of the feel of the arcade, but more bugs than Planet Klendathu. Hey,
Thanks for Digital Persuasion. Thank you.
Digital Persuasion, everyone. Here they are. Golf clap. This one is a teeny tiny 2-player racer in the same kind of vein as that. Nice title opening screen, though, I thought, from Mr. Stee. Then it's onto the game. And the basic setup here is kind of easy peasy, isn't it? Don't expect mad stuff with this, although actually there's some nice things to like. You have a top-down view of the track. You can choose between 1 or 2 players, change the controls from joystick to keyboard, and had combos of those, I guess. And then go. No mess, no fuss. Another 30-second David Whittaker loop accompanies the game. And again, it lives in the instantly forgettable but not annoying compilation that you just got out at some point, I guess, with 900 tracks on it.
And last 7 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I will say, it didn't sound very race car-y, the music in this. Just didn't.
No, probably not.
Does it matter? You start the game and you get some speech filtered through a bean tin, but speech is speech. So you count you down and you go. The control of your vehicle is haphazard at best. The speed is controlled with the fire button and the direction with the joystick. The best way of describing it is the direction. Your car will skid all over the shop in this game, so it takes some getting used to, as does the minute graphics, because they are teeny tiny little graphics the size of amoebas. You know your vehicle is facing the right way by the white dot on it that's meant to be a windscreen, and it's very easy to lose control and take on damage, but you can pick up little spanners on the track to repair yourself, all the while you're racing your opponent to the finish line. There are also boosters you can pick up, muddy patches to avoid, and tracks, and it's in the same kind of logic as Super Sprint. There's even little tunnels that you go under, which you can easily fall foul of, by the way, because you can sometimes get trapped under the road. I did, I managed it, and I was like, I can't see. It took me a while to find my way out, and that's just because I'm crap at controlling these kind of things. There's 12 tracks to get through. I played through at least 5, so there's probably a little bit of mileage in this, and each of the races is the 3-lap affair. Obviously, the first one, so you've got to win the race. For £2, it's a little bit dry, maybe for the single player, but there is loads of fun to be had at 2-player in this because of its skiddy logic and its silly skiddiness. Mm-hmm. I like that about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's tiny. Yep. It is teeny tiny, but it doesn't pretend to be anything than what it is. This is a cracking laugh. 2 players on this, you'd be rolling around laughing. You're laughing your asses off playing it because it is so fun, and it captures that bit of fun from Super Sprint. That's the one thing that was missing from the other one that this one captures really well. So I really liked it for that. For £2, I thought this was a really good little game. It's got quite a lot in it. It doesn't seem like it on the surface, but it's actually quite a lot when you start to go through the tracks, and then another track appears, and another track appears, and like how many. And you think stuff. Actually, there's quite a lot of tracks in here. There's a lot of mileage. There's a lot of fun. You get 3-player in some of it as well. So there's 2 players against the computer player as well. So it does have that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked it. I wouldn't say it was a Grand Prix, really. I think that's it. But it doesn't matter.
It's as much Grand Prix as Super Sprint is, isn't it? So
yeah, exactly. But it is what it is. That said, this is £2. I think it got robbed at 59%. I think this is way better than that score by miles. I really had a lot of fun. My only complaint was I was playing it 1 player, so that fun is limited on a game like this. You need to be sat next to your best mate playing this, skidding around, crashing and having a real laugh, because it would be a hoot because of the way it controls and the way you can block each other and get in each other's way. I thought it was really good for that. So what's not to like about it? It's a great for £2. It's so much better than ATV Simulator. It's beyond the pale. What a great little thing. I really liked it. What about you?
Yeah, it's a Super Sprint knockoff, but it's better than the Super Sprint conversion, that's for sure. This is originally by the Oliver twins.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's an Oliver twins game on the Spectrum and Amstrad, so that's where this comes from.
Oh, bless them. Bless them. God bless Robin Hood.
God bless Dizzy Skaggs.
Shut up.
Boom, 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 boom. Thanks, Digital.
Gong, gong. Oh, they're all out now. Digital Persuasion will be on next.
The visuals on the cars are questionable, but they're nothing more than a couple of rectangles with dots, aren't they? They're very funny. But
but I like that, though. Stupid, but I liked it.
They move smoothly, and above all else, as you write now, this controls really well. And that's where this game scores over the official port of Super Sprint. It feels really satisfying to control. It's certainly no simulation, but neither was Super Sprint. But the speed of this and the way the cars skid around the corners and through the shortcuts once you get the feel for it, it just feels excellent. They've managed to nail that spinning. Somehow they've managed to get this hammering the steering wheel around from the arcade onto a joystick. I didn't think it was possible, but here we go. They've managed to get a really good sense of skidding round, hammering round, getting the tail out, coming back in. It feels ace. And being little squares, it's just little rectangles. We don't need much in the way of graphics because it's all about the power around. And you soon forget about what they look like and are just, as you said, enjoying twanging it around those corners and stuff. And once you get the hang of it, you can, as soon as you come to a corner sort of thing, you just know, right, full on Trying it around. It's ace. Budget titles go. This offers everything you could really need from this kind of game. Decent single-player game that opponent offers some serious challenge at later levels, and there's a solid 2-player, as you write, that keeps your computer current, some good 3-player racing. What more do you want? I do wish it had 2 computer-controlled cars in the single-player mode. That's what I would have liked.
That is an omission, I think.
But I think that's it. That's all that's really missing, really. £2. I've said the same to you. 59% was a bit harsh on this. I can only presume that they didn't play it 2-player.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe they didn't because they only had one person reviewing it or something, and then maybe you give it that. But even in 1-player, I had way more. And at £2, I wish I'd have bought this back in the day because I'd have thought I'd have been all over this. I'd have been playing this for ages. And I would have certainly brought it around to your house. So we'd have been playing it. It would have been
a right laugh.
Yeah, it's just a great 2-player, 1-player, top-down, single-screen, super sprint knockoff. What do you want?
Yep.
What a compared to that last one. Like I said, I don't know why they did ATV Simulator like what they did it. Because when they've got this, why even bother with that one when you got this?
Absolutely. And it occurred to me that as I played this, I thought, imagining myself that, because obviously we never really played this back in the day, and at some point we might play this 2-player if we do like a special version of the podcast.
At some point.
We'll go through some of these, but it made me think that the kind of fun that you would have with this is the kind of fun that later comes in the Mario Kart games.
Yes.
In that anarchic chasing and skidding around the track, and it captures something. And and I think that's there's a lot to be said about that. You don't need the tracks don't need to be mega complicated and accurate in all the racetracks in the world. They just need to be like this, fun with your mate to get around and have a laugh.
Yeah, this also sort of reminded me of an early Micro Machines as well.
Yes, absolutely. Same sort of view, isn't it, as well? So yeah, totally.
Yeah, I thought this was really good. Really enjoyed it. Yeah. Pleasant surprise. Let long may it continue. Hurrah.
Huzzah. Yay.
Golf clap. I'm sure it will. Let's move into our next one. No, it won't. No, it won't. Ramparts. Ramparts here. We're back full price. Going to the back of the box. Ramparts. What's Ramparts? We are black-hearted villains in Ramparts, and certainly not knights in shining armour. However, we are massive for medieval reasons unknown, and verily, what we have here is a cunning replica, forsooth, of Rampage, yet set in times of yore, with castles instead of skyscrapers, and vagabond knights instead of denizens of evil. Nonny. Yeah, it's Ramparts from Go Software, a clear knockoff of Rampage, with the monsters replaced by giant knights for reasons. Anyway, this was coded by Mr. Trudeau and Mr. Ikin, with graphics, or magic and wonderment, as the game calls them. I don't, but the game does. Adrian Carless, which is the punchline to the joke, when I cannot find my car in a car park, I am Adrian Carless. Hey! Took me ages to that one
please stay with us. We've got Digital Persuasion coming on in a bit. Don't worry. There's more comedy tonight. More comedy.
And then we're rounding off with chimey gongs and sax warbler. And the music here is by Mark Cooksey. When the game boots up, there's some nice presentation to it all at first glance. The title screen has portraits of the evil knights we can play and a well-done font for the text. You can toggle between 1 and 2 players with a tap of the F1 key, and you can choose between music and sound effects by moving the joystick left or right. And for once, it's quite clear what you picked, which is nice. The text is all written in medieval style. The music is a solid medieval piece from Cooksey, channeling his best Ghosts and Goblins style. And everything up to this point indicates this could be quite good. A jab of the fire button, and you're asked to enter your name of up to 5 characters, so you'll be Sir whoever, Sir Crabulon or Sir Calabos. But you've only got 5 letters, you can't be that. Once done, the game starts, and so do the problems. The first thing you'll notice is the schizophrenic music. As you're dropped into the level by a dragon, the music is reminiscent of something like Jeff Cape's Strongman.
We used it as an interstitial.
We
in
do.
Fact, I will for the beginning of this.
It's all jaunty
review.
and not at all like the title screen.
No.
Yeah, it's weird. The graphics also don't bow too well, with a blocky night and a bunch of castle towers that are okay, but we've seen better towers and moving ones at that in Nebulous. Once you drop to the ground and the game starts, the in-game music starts, and it's very good indeed. Completely different in tone, though. Completely different. Yep. I don't know what, it's like 3 different tunes so far, completely different. So when the drum beat starts, it reminded me of Rock Me Amadeus for some reason. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. There's something about Rock Me Amadeus for it or something. Once past that, it's a really good tune. This probably my favourite Cooksey piece that I've heard so far. I thought it was excellent, this piece of music. Didn't sound like a Cooksey piece at all. I loved it. I thought it was great.
He does do this kind of thing quite well. He later expands it even more with Storm. I think Storm Warrior.
Yeah. Such a shame, though, that once again, the music is the standout part of the game we have to play. Because to put it bluntly, Ramparts is rubbish. The game is such a blatant rip-off of Rampage, I'm amazed it got out there. It's nothing more than a visual redo. I mean, if things like Catechus and stuff got all,
I can't get my head around it. Yeah,
I have
absolutely.
no idea how this managed to survive. Because it's just Rampage, but with medieval clothes on. The game is such, there's nothing more than visual. You control a knight instead of a monster. You climb towers instead of skyscrapers. You're bothered by medieval-style enemies instead of modern ones. But the moveset, the way you play it, is the same. So for those who missed our review of Rampage or have never played it, the aim is to climb up the sides of the towers and smash them as you go up and down them on both sides. So essentially, you're wandering around. There's little people moving about trying to damage you. And in this is like dragons and stuff flying about or walking along the bottom of the screen. You got to climb up the sides of the towers and essentially you punch them. Because you're massive, you're as big as the towers, do enough damage. Once enough damage is done, the tower will collapse. If you smash all the towers on the screen, you progress to the next screen, which is just more of the same, but with more enemies and so on and so on. I think there's 44 levels to go at, which is quite a lot, but like you can't. It's surprising just how little they changed here aside from the visuals. This is Rampage in a tunic and hose, but, and here's the real kicker, it's worse than the official conversion. We didn't think much to that either. Here you have an opportunity to look at Rampage, see what was wrong with it, and improve on it. So with no license to hold you back, you could have taken on board the game's issues and tried to rectify them. But none of that has happened. All of Rampage's faults have been brought over wholesale and then made worse, with fiddlier controls and other issues. It's very tricky to start climbing a building, and smashing it has been made more boring by not really being able to hold, when you can get to the top and then if you hold down and climb down it and keep hammering the fire button, you'll do that smack downwards, won't you? And you'll do it. And you just do it and it'll do it like constantly. You can't really do that in this. You kind of keep stopping and starting, and then if you're pulling down, it'll just fall off the castle, the tower, which is dead annoying. So it's more tricky, it's more finicky, it's more fiddly. The destruction of the towers is too quick as well. When you do enough damage, they just kind of disappear. It's like blinking, they're gone. Like, oh.
Yep.
Everything merges into each other because all the towers are the same color. You sometimes hard to define where the edge of a tower is, and so it's hard to know where to start climbing. Not just hard to know where to start climbing, it's hard to know which exact pixel you have to be in line with to start climbing as well, because that's kind of what the problem is here. The enemies are more annoying than they are in Rampage. Hitting them feels like trial and error. You don't know if you're smashing down. Sometimes you hit them, sometimes you won't. You lose energy just from touching them. So to kill them, you've got to damage yourself. That's
stupid.
That's never good, which is ridiculous from both a gameplay perspective. I should be able to kill enemies without taking damage. And from an in-game logic perspective, I'm a massive knight in a suit of armor. Why should I take damage constantly from being in contact with a small person on the floor? Doesn't make any sense. Your energy also goes down really fast and will also continue to go down even after you've squished the enemy that was hurting you while it's in its death throw. But that's bad. It's all bad. You also only have one life, and so attempts at this are short and pointless. I do not understand this game, and the fact that it's full price. Full price. This is $9.99. Dreadful. Is it another Go Software one? Was it another Go Software one?
Go. Yeah.
Go and just go away.
Gone. Be gone.
Yeah. It reminded me of Bombo, and that you have complete freedom to do something better. And the only thing that is better is the music.
Yeah.
This is rubbish. Ramparts.
Ouch.
That's what yeah, absolutely. I hated this. This was awful. Terrible to play. But just the only thing, what I went and actually did was I just booted up SID Player and listened to the Cooksey music.
Yeah.
Because it was the only good thing about
it's worth
this.
Doing.
Dreadful, awful game. How did you find it?
And that's the sound it makes as you get rammed up the ramparted. Yeah, you get ramparted up the old. It doesn't matter where you get ramparted. It's painful.
The old tower.
Everything with this game is stupid. Everything. The game makes no sense. I mean, it makes sense when giant creatures are attacking city skyscrapers. That doesn't make sense, but it's contextually sci-fi sense. Giant knights attacking castles is the stupidest thing ever. Makes no sense whatsoever, but it doesn't, and it doesn't work in this context of this. It's just blatantly just substituting graphics for something and changing Rampage to Ramparts. Well, woohoo, very clever, but it's not, is it? Even if this were just fun, which it isn't by any stretch of the imagination, there's nothing here that's redeemable. The graphics are very, very samey looking, dull, bland colours, nothing really to write home about.
your character is clearly a knight, but climbing the buildings, which would be difficult in a suit of armor, is a pain anyway. Punching them is rubbish. And very little to grab means it's really dull. You just kind of go up and down a building, punching it. There's nothing much happening. You're periodically menaced by tiny things, none of which are really challenging, but all of which take your energy away in really annoying ways. It's just dull upon dull, with more layers of dull, extra added dull. This is a dull game. This is dull.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The audio is really odd in that it's such a mishmash, and I like it all, but none of it suits this game whatsoever. None. There's a medieval tinge to a little bit of it, but it doesn't really go with it, and it's inconsistent, which tells me that I don't know what horror of development this game came through, but clearly this started out as a Rampage game, and then it got changed to Ramparts. I've got no doubt about that. This began life as probably a variant of Rampage. Maybe they were hired to do a Rampage game, and this got poo-pooed. They'd got halfway through the code and thought, we may as well use it for something. Anyway, it doesn't gel properly, and it's just horrible. It's a horrible thing. But the music is the only light feature in here. And again, we use a couple of the interstitials and bits for the interstitials in this very podcast.
We do.
Which has always been, because Matt Cooks, he does have a nice way about the music he does. It doesn't fit this, because I think the game's rubbish, and I think that's a great shame. But for the music, because the music suited something better. But no. I think 48% was generous for this. This should have been in the doldrums. 15% tops.
Yeah.
The music. The rest of it, no, thank
Grand
you.
Prix Simulator only got 11% more. Is a travesty. Travesty.
Yeah, it is a travesty. This is just stupid. No thanks. And I didn't like Rampage either, for more or less the same reasons. And as you very rightly say, if you're going to do something like this, do it better. This was clearly a game that was being developed to be Rampage, and then something went wrong. There's probably a big article on it somewhere, but that's what I think anyway, and it stinks. So no thanks.
No thanks.
No. Ram someone else's parts. Thank you very much.
And on that note, Ramparts. Let's move along. We've got one game left. Hopefully we can end on a high. What do you think, dear listeners? Graham, do we end on a high? Tell us all about the Galactic Games.
No, we bloody well don't.
Aww.
This is produced by Software Studios. It took them a while to think of that, didn't it? Let's be fair. What can we call ourselves? I don't know. Software Studio? Oh, that'll do. Something to do with Jonathan Dean. He seems to pop up a lot, that guy. I don't know if it is anything to do with him. Design is by Tigress Designs. Yeah. And it's Activision. Goodness me, it's Activision. Yeah, Cactivision, actually, for this one. They've come back back with a big hammer. Before I even get into this, I'm going to say something that's very rude. And that is, fuck that stupid text type thing and its noise and everything it stands for. I'm just going to get it out of my system. I will bleep out the swear, but I just had to get it out of my system, because if you do, remember, we play these games so you don't have to. Just take my word for it that this game's ticker tape, I don't know what you call those things. This has a device
it's like a video printer, isn't it?
Video printer, yeah. This game's video printer will drive you insane forever.
It's awful.
Anyway, before we even get started on this, just go to your cupboard, see if you can find a couple of Douglas Adams books, and just eat them, just consume them, because we're going to have a big dose of our old Douglas Adams medicine here. Because whoever wrote the blurb for this game, these endless blurbs for these games that appeared, clearly swallowed a Douglas Adams dictionary. So this is Galactic Games, a galactic compendium, Adrian, of such highlights as the 100-meter slither race, space jockey, psychic judo, head throwing, and the Metaforth Marathon. If you think those make no sense, wait till we describe them.
Yeah.
Each event is another dire exercise in stupidity and, under the banner of fun, affront your eyes with more pointless, difficult to control crazy at every step. Every single level is introduced by the annoying thing. Let's just call it that. The annoying thing. What do you call video printer?
The video printer
that goes. I'm not even going to do it. Just trust me. And the text that it endlessly video prints onto the screen over a period of what felt like hours tries to be funny in that Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy vein, but obviously misses the mark all the time. So this is a 100-meter slither race with the slithe worms from Voloidian 6. It's not funny because it takes ages to type out, you stupid idiot. Anyway, text and more text, and the text and the sound that goes with the text. I can hear it in my head now. It
Takes a while for it to leave you. Attempts to create some kind of sporting, funny atmosphere, and it fails so dramatically and so catastrophically that it leaves you with nothing but pain in your ears and in your eyes. Plus, there's a lot of loading, although I found the loading reasonably fast on this, but I'm guessing that's because I'm on an emulator.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah, but according to the review, they said that the loading was, particularly bad. I can imagine. Maybe it was. Who cares? The loading is actually the least part of the problem of this. What it loads is the problem,
it
not
just brought
the
the horror
loading
to you
part.
quicker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when it gets to you, your eyes aren't, and your brain aren't going to thank you for what is literally being crapped into your face. So by the time you get there, you won't care. So I'll go through the events. In the 100-meter slither race, you got to waggle, push up and down, control anyway, whatever the joystick to get your worm to hump and slide along the racetrack to the end.
Oh, so stupid.
So stupid. Now, my first thought was if this had been dogs scooting along, wiping their asses, that would have been way better. That would have been much better, that thing. But it isn't that. And it would have been funnier as well, but it's not. It's not fun, this, and it looks shit. So that's that one done with. Graphics are terrible throughout this entire game, but this is actually the best one of the lot.
Did you find yourself just constantly overheating as well?
Yeah, it's stupid.
And you couldn't actually move?
Yeah. Sometimes you did like a super slide, and then it was like, it just collapsed into a heap. I was like, this is just crap.
Yeah.
And if this is as bad as it begins, what's the rest of them like? Well, I'm going to tell you, it ain't. It doesn't get any prettier in the next one. So that's graphically, that's the best one, and that's not saying anything because the best thing about it is the worm because it's kind of comedic looking. Everything else is rubbish.
It looked like Nero from Danger Mouse.
Yes, yeah, it did. Yeah, actually, yeah. The way it moved, it did like as well, yeah.
Yeah.
So the animation, the cartoon style animation, the only saving grace on that piece of shit. Anyway, after that, in space hockey, you need to bounce a puck in the shape of a face into a black hole, your goal, by controlling your eye.
This was so crap.
By batting it around. Single colour sprites on a flickery checkerboard effect background soon become
awful.
Annoying and tedious. It's speedy, but hard to know what's happening. And selecting the players seemed really weird at the beginning, and it didn't really work. And you could invariably select the computer to play both parts and not realise. It was just stupid. Really, really, really stupid. And it's not space hockey. Nothing about it said space hockey. Nothing. What was hockey? Is it kind of meant to be like an air hockey thing? If it was
to be like air hockey,
but then why were you controlling it with the two eyes or an eye? Why were you batting a face around?
Don't know.
Anyway,
Don't know.
Graphics on that crap. We're getting into single color sprite territory here now. Badly drawn ones at that. So clearly they focused all their energies on two things in this, and the rest of it was an afterthought. Backgrounds, as I say, it's this dark blue and black checkerboard effect, and it's just crap and flicky as well. Flicky. I tell you, awful. Anyway, when you've decided you've had enough of that, you're going to go to psychic judo, which is borderline inexplicable. It's hard to explain what this even is. The screen is split into two views with some kind of single-coloured ape throwing balls. You also throw fireballs, but apparently it's not that. It's actually there's psychic powers that you're throwing each other from your brains.
So crap. So crap and unintuitive and uncontrolled. What was this?
I don't know. It's horrible to look at. Like something from 1983 horrible, and it makes no sense or control whatsoever. It's just absolutely stupid, and I don't know if I won or not. I don't know because it's not something that's actually describable. I don't quite understand. I don't get it. I advise everyone to stay away from that. It's because I'm not sure what it is, and it might never leave you. I don't know what it will do. It's like I've seen that movie Pontypool, and I've got a feeling that psychic judo is something to do with that. So we'll leave that there. It ain't good, is what, it ain't good. Onto the head throwing. Oh, God, for God's sake. The graphics here are really, really bad. This is where it's getting, if you thought they were bad before, the graphics here are getting really bad. You have a grey with blue outline medium-res humanoid sprite that runs kind of okayly animated, I guess, along a track, if you can call it that. It's just two blue lines, really, that you happen to be between. And then he runs to the end and throws his different coloured head to gain some kind of distance mark. It's just absolutely shit. It's really stupid and shit. The controls are shit. The look of it is shit. The background is green and blue with a weird line-drawn cityscape and a moon graphic that looked like, honestly, it was drawn by an idiot. It's just really, 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 really crap. I can't tell you how crap that head throwing is.
It's my first koala paint.
It's so shit. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I couldn't believe it. And considering the animation on the run is kind of okay, even though it's just one colour, so there's no sense of depth or characterization or anything. And when he throws his head, I think his head was bright pink or completely different colour.
Yeah,
it's just, and then it flaps its ears. It's like
It's just stupid. Okay.
I can't understand what you're supposed to do. Were you supposed to do something while it was in the air?
I tried. I thought, is it because
Because every time I did it just got no score. I kept getting fouled.
Same. Yeah, there was obviously something I wasn't doing. It wasn't explained. And by the way, none of the text in between all this, which there's plenty of. Every time you end the game, you get text on the old video printer. Yeah. Then you get more video printing, then even more video printing to explain about what it is. But none of that video printing stuff actually explains what the bloody hell you've got to do. It is absolutely frigging stupid. Anyway, on to the final element of this torturous bloody nightmare, which is the metaphor for marathon. God help us with this. This initially looked like a yellow condom floating over a giant shit. There's no other way to describe it. That's exactly what it looked like. There's no other way to describe it. Your object metamorphs into different things with odd abilities, like running, flying, and super jumping, none of which make any sense in this game whatsoever. You've no idea what you're meant to do. Nothing scores, even though there's a score indicator. So I don't know what you're supposed to do.
Nope.
At any point, I didn't seem to be doing anything. At the bottom of the screen is the shit, and the various yellow sprite things kind of float or run over it. Its UI is incomprehensible. It's just utterly stupid shit. It makes no sense. It's rubbish. Really rubbish. So between those games, which are absolutely, this is bad. This is really bad. So all of those make no sense. They're unplayable. They're unfun. They're not funny. And the text in between will drive you literally insane. By the time you get to this point, the noise of that video printer will have burned its way into your brain.
Yep.
So none of the annoying parts in between tell you anything about the game, as I've said. Neither are they funny either. Even with their attempts at funny namings of things, they're only really funny in the context of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, because you're watching Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy with comedic characters like Zaphod Beeblebrox and things like that.
And it's well written.
Without the context, and it's well written. Without the context of that, you're just naming things stupidly.
Yep.
And you might be sat there chuckling to yourself that you've named, the Gunvant Beetles from Vought Fiffle 6, and it's just brilliant. It's only funny to you, mate, whoever made this, because for me, it's like torture. This is drowning in a corn silo, 8-bit style for me. It's just horrible.
Happy February.
Absolutely. It's just pointless. A load of pointless, unfunny names in a pointless, unfunny experience with pointless, unfunny logic, pointless and unfunny, and especially unfunny at full price for this monstrosity. You simply have to get into the game, I guess, and hope the demo mode gives you some ideas of what you could do to get the gist of what the game's about. But that won't happen. You'll never get that far. You'll never do it. You won't be entertained by this. You'll be horrified. It's a terrible, terrible thing. It's a contender for one of the worst things I've ever seen in the life of this podcast on the C64. It is utterly terrible in every possible way. There is nothing redeeming about any of it in any stretch of the imagination. This is a load of crap. The annoying text screens, the endless annoying text screens, those endless annoying text screens. The crap sounds and audio, by the way, which I haven't mentioned because it's so awful. Honestly, it's like forcing Lego blocks into your ears. And the big ones as well. Awful and badly drawn graphics that vaguely resemble something, mostly just things you won't recognize because they were clearly drawn by someone that had their fingers broken. So no idea what they're really meant to be. And the gameplay itself, the design of the games is so nonsensical that it's a joke. It's beyond a joke. This is terrible. This is an affront to your eyes. This is the 8-bit equivalent of 2 Girls, 1 Cup. And my reaction to it was exactly the same. Yuck. No. This is a dog egg of the worst kind. And I think it's just so horrific. I'm still trying to erase it from my mind space. And what about you? Maybe you really liked it.
I loved it. It's another in the ever-growing list of alternative games that do nothing but just show how good the Epix games really were. Even California games, which we weren't so hot on, but it just shows you just how good those kinds were. Skate and Die, things like that. Once again, we have a humorous, and I'm doing the bunny ears around that word, humorous, read very boring attempt to liven things up with a witty text crawl before and after each event, which only serves to enrage the player even further. The 5 events are tedious and stupid with strange controls and very little in the way of enjoyment to be had. Graphics are uniformly rubbish. The sound is basic and horrible. We may need to have a new category in our yearly awards at this rate, I was thinking. The Shite Multi-Event Games Award.
We might have this year, yeah.
Because we're getting a lot of these or something, as we seem to be inundated with them at the moment. I have a horrible feeling this is not going to stop. This was awful on every level. And I'm kind of sad that February ends with such a turd. Fire this into the sun and let's never speak of it again. Dreadful. This was really awful. The only good thing about this was you could press run stop to end it.
Yeah, to get out of it. Yeah,
to get out of it. So it had that over that stupid Western games where the games went on like for aeons. I'm still playing one of them right now.
Yeah.
One of that one where you had to shoot 5 things. Oh, yeah, that bad cat crap. But I do think this is going to be there's going to be an awards. This might need to be a separate category, because I think we might need one, because we need to recognise the multi-award shower of shite that we're getting. Galactic Games. This is stupid. All the things, just rubbish.
No.
Oh, there we go. Christ. February has not been good. There's been some couple of decent ones here and there.
Yeah, here and there.
But on the whole, the quality has been very low.
Very
low.
Right, what Deflektor's kind of the highlight in it, really. But
you are?
Deflektor's been a highlight, but
for today, yeah. I mean, over the weeks for Hunter's Moon and Deflektor, I suppose, and that Grand Prix challenge. I'm trying to think of other stuff, but it's not much. Platoon, I suppose, was interesting, but Match Day, I suppose, was all right as well. But anyway, this week we looked at 720, average begets average again. Ninja Hamster,
crap.
Shit begets shit. iAlien, V. Just colourful V.
Colourful blobby V.
Yeah. Jinks, unfathomable sideways crabby breakout. Crab out.
Side crab. Now we still can't get it.
Let's call it Jinks. Why? Who knows? Deflektor, very good. We like that one. ATV Simulator, very bad.
Did not
only
like
good
that one.
for Digital Persuasion, who are performing at Butlins this week. Grand Prix Simulator, good. We like that. That was good. And
Great
then ending off with Ramparts, and finally Galactic Games.
Yeah, be gone. Demon, out. Gone, be gone, demon.
There we go. Just before we get into our crapverts, I would like to give a little bit of a shout out to Wamic.com, who produced an amazing QR code for us.
Oh, it was brilliant, that.
Sorry, I'm not going to assume the sort of thing, but they produced this QR code. They did it in the style of Boulder Dash. We retweeted it. They created it for us on Instagram and let us have it, and it links to our website. It's amazing. So it's just it's a QR code in Boulder Dash. I mean, how cool is that? And they do loads of other cool stuff. If you go to Wamic.com, I think it's their Etsy store. So there's loads of QR codes done in retro style. So I think there's Mario, there's a Zelda one. And others, I think there's maybe a Dig Dug or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But they're awesome. You can print them out. They make really cool prints, and they work. They work as well. So they are actual working QR codes.
Very clever.
Just out of the blue, just did it for us, and that was like kind of amazing, really. So I mean, thank you. It was quite incredible.
Yeah, thank you. Check them out.
Really, really ace. And I was completely and utterly blown away by it. So amazing thing. So, and it's just really cool. It's just a really nice, cool bit of artwork. At first, because kind of looking at it going, that looks like level 2, but it's not quite right. And then I realised what it was, and I was like, that's amazing.
Clever stuff.
So, yeah, Wamic.com, spelled WHAMIC.com. Go have a look. There's some really cool stuff. If you like your retro themed QR codes, I mean, how cool is that? That's such a great idea as well, I think.
Yeah.
Such a great idea. And once again, thank you very much for that. Brilliant stuff. Thank you. On that note, because it's nice to end on a high, and that QR code was ace. So we've got some crapverts.
We do.
Graham, if you'd like to peruse to the first one. This was just a half-page advert.
I'm looking at it right now. God, I wish I wasn't.
This is for the game. It's an Amiga game. We have moved into the stage of adverts where the cheap Amiga game adverts are appearing. So this is, it's 20 quid on the Amiga, but this is a game called Clean Cut. Would you like to describe what we're looking at or try?
It's hard because I couldn't figure out if Clean Cut was the game or is it Ball Raider?
And the game is Ball Raider, I think.
So why does it say Clean Cut then? What does that mean?
I don't know because he's got a sword. But the fact that there's a game called Ball Raider is ace.
Well, the blurb for it makes no sense anyway.
No.
So it says the game of the future, 25 animated levels with various strategies of playing. Digitized sound graphics. I don't know what that means.
No, I don't.
Digitized sound graphics. It's like that phrase you said earlier. It's like, it just hurts your head. Win and become one of the elite. Anyway, so what we're looking at here is what looks like to me like a warning sign for something. because red and yellow is normally the kind of the warning colours, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's got a giant, really sort of weighty font at the top that says the words "clean cut" in great big black bold writing.
Yep.
That doesn't seem to represent anything. I don't know what that means. Then it's got random. We're going back in time here a little bit. It's got random shapes. We haven't seen that for a while.
No, we haven't.
C65 routes have moved on, and then these come along. We're back to those shapes. So we've got giant rectangles, giant triangles, and of course blobs, giant circles of blue and red, festooning the corner on a bright yellow background. And in the middle of that is the horror of the ball raidie, because it doesn't even have the full name of the game on it, because they've covered that over with a screen grab of the exact same thing.
But it looks better drawn.
It just looks better drawn in many because the logo's in the right place. So the logos don't match either. So the logo on the screen of the game doesn't match the logo on the advert at any of them. Which is a
Dutch angle.
Yeah, and it's just got an angry looking and over-ripped. I mean, that guy's roided to the max. If you've got back wings like that, you have been taking the testosterone supplements, like, you're drowning yourself in it. He's got human growth hormone. He pees it, I think. He literally pees it. He's got thunderous thighs, but one leg is bigger than the other because they've not drawn it properly.
That's why he looks
and
so
he's alarming
angry.
sandals, and he's also got what looks like terrible toe. His toe is horrifically too far back. He's got one really big, massive toe. He's got two toes on his bi-toed foot. So he's obviously some kind of cloven hoofed demon. I don't know. Anyway, he's clutching a sword and sort of waving his fist at an angry, like, "I'll get you next time, you bastards!
I'll get you, butler."
And he looks to me like he's stood next to a giant egg.
With a pointy bit on the top.
With a pointy bit on the top. So with his impractical sword, because he's got no no kind of holster for that sword. It's
actually a giant German World War I helmet as worn by the Kaiser.
It is the Kaiser's helmet there. And then in the mini version of the same thing, which is different, in the mini version he's clutching a diamond, I think, in his hand. The sword's bigger and in the right perspective. It's clearly been drawn by someone that stood a little bit more of anatomy. His hair colour's changed. The logo's different, and the egg is now not an egg. So I'm guessing somebody gave that original Ball Raider to an actual artist and went, "Can you do a better version of that?" He went, "Yeah, in every possible way I can. Yeah, give me
I can do that because it's doing obviously an Amiga screenshot, isn't it?"
Yeah. Can we not use this one? No, that's clearly been drawn by your 9-year-old cousin. Let's use a real artist for the actual one in the game.
His pectorals as well look like and his abdominal muscles look like a weird face.
They do, yeah.
Because his nipples look like eyes.
Well, he's got too many abs.
So the way
that's not helping.
The way the pectorals look, they look like they're like pauldrons. They look like they're armor strapped onto him.
They do. And then you'll notice that his abdominal muscles go all the way up to his nipples. And I'm no expert on anatomy, but I'm pretty sure that's not the way that the abdominal muscles work. Anyway, that looks like it's been relatively corrected in the minor version.
Yeah.
Other things to note here is that there are other games coming from this Diamond company.
Yeah.
Crazy Football. we're back to the crap names again, which is really giving me a chuckle.
The third
Crazy
one's
Football,
my favourite.
Pinball Arcade, and Champ.
Champ, is it? I'm really hoping it is a conversion of the John Voight film. The Champ.
Chirpy.
And Ricky Schroeder.
But yeah, we're back to having our business names on there. Diamond Games, Isleworth Business Centre. So, it's...
telephone if you want.
Not good, that is it?
It
not
is
good,
dreadful.
but it is funny. And by the way, the Ball Raider logo, the one, the main crappy image, it's clearly been hand drawn and hand shaded, but the shading is inconsistent as well. So the ball shading doesn't match the Raidy shading either.
No, because they've gone for that dark at the bottom with that kind of 80s style thing, but they've only done it across the bottom, except apart from on the B where it's gone up again on the left. Look.
Yes, I'm not sure what they were aiming for there, but it doesn't work anyway, does it? So it's not very good.
No.
No,
I did like that. All right, that's Ball Raider. And also as well, I mean, it's a great title, Ball Raider. What does it mean?
I'm not sure what that means. I still don't know why it's got clean cut in massive warning style fonts. I'm not sure what that's all about. Really weird.
It's a very bizarre advert. Perfect crap return.
Oh,
I haven't seen any for ages. Let's move on to the next one, which is
God.
I think it's a football game, but again,
I hope it is.
It's Hot Ball.
What? Hot Ball.
Hot Ball. You know it, Graham. All the kids are talking about Hot Ball.
I mean, could that logo at the top be any more 80s if it tried? It's like the most 80s thing I've seen in ages. And then you look at that one and you get to the bottom one, you're like, oh my lord, they've added a dragon thing.
It could be legible. What does it say?
Yeah, I think
is it Satori?
I think it's Satori, yeah. So, yeah, I think it is Satori, which is, you can't read it that really easily. And you certainly can't read it on the one where they've pushed it onto the face of a dragon or whatever. Cause,
why is it on it? There's a dragon at the bottom.
If you're going to do that, don't make the dragon the same colour as the wings, the same colour as your bloody logo, God.
So this is Hot Ball by, I think, Satori. So at the top, we've got this very, very 80s logo. It's italicized. Everything flows into each other. It's got that half shading, metallic and stuff like that. The main image for the game, though, so then we've got the Hot Ball logo sort of halfway down, which is just in completely different font with the football for the zero. The O, because of course, sort of thing. But then what we then have is a close up of what I think are a pair of boots, or a boot and a leg and a ball. But they're in such a complex geometric pattern that I can't understand what exactly is going on.
No.
Because the ball is behind the middle leg, but then there's another leg coming in from the front because we're seeing the bottom of the studs. So is someone tackling someone, but they've gone over the ball? Why are they leg in front? What's going on?
Well, I think the foot that's coming in on the right-hand side, that's the toe. The back foot of the left, the underside of the front of someone's left foot coming in towards the left leg of someone from the front by their sock. Although the top of their leg's missing, look, so there's just a random
He's in front
foot
of the ball.
Yeah, I think he's obviously got the ball between his legs, the guy at the back who's coming towards us. The guy that's running towards the ball and kicking the ball is obviously going to do a foul immediately because he's going to boot that guy's foot really hard.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But I think what you shouldn't have to do when you look at an advert, though, is strain your brain and try and work out the actual, physical logistics of what you are looking at.
No, and you notice, by the way, on the ball itself in the background, they got bored of drawing the pattern on. So it's like, it's too hard to work out geometrically. This is a nightmare. Just don't bother. Just stop. So halfway down, it's like, sod it. Don't put the geometric. Don't put the little hexagons or whatever they are, little pentagons on. Forget it.
Yeah, they just got bored, didn't they?
Well, it's partly because if you look at the one in the middle, that's a pentagon. And if you look at one to the left, that's a hexagon. And they've clearly they couldn't remember how it was put together. Is it hexagons or pentagons on a football, Dave? Oh, don't know. I'll just put both. Oh, it's not worked out mathematically. Forget it. Stop it. Don't matter. As long as it looks a bit like a football, don't matter.
Yeah, it's not good. It's a mess of an advert. But again, it is available for Atari ST and Amiga at £25.
£25.
And also, games forever.
Yeah, what does that even mean? Why is
I don't know,
there?
because forever is 2 words. So I can only think it's ever
Games
is a person.
Forever. Yeah, it must be it must be. And it's one of those classic things. They did this back in the early C64 ads. They just put random little phrases on that didn't mean anything like that.
Yeah.
But we're back to doing that again. And by the way, that has clearly got a double stroke on that hot ball, that is a crime. That is
it's got an inner stroke
crime.
and an outer stroke.
Exactly. I mean, goodness me, I nearly had a stroke, but I saw that. I'm like, no. Oh my gosh, no. And it's almost beveled. There's no drop shadow on it, fortunately, as well. But
I think it could do with a bit of drop shadow. It needs something to it. It's just awful. That ball as well has just been, it doesn't look good. That is it.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out why the guys whose foot is in the background, it just cuts off at the sock. So it's like his leg's been sliced off at the ankle.
It's just the interior of the sock, isn't it?
Yeah, and one foot goes up past the logo, but the rest of them don't. Why?
Yeah, why?
Anyway, we're questioning it. We know the rules of crapverts are you don't question the... There's so much smoothing as well. Have you noticed all the smoothing on that?
Yeah, it's loads and loads.
So
they've really gone
smooth. I mean, goodness, they've got the airbrush out and they've just gone, how can we make these studs look studdy? I don't know, airbrush them. They look like chocolate buttons. It looks like he stood on 4 chocolate buttons that happen to be in an exact square and squashed them to the bottom of his shoe.
Yeah, that's that. And there's just a smooth glow on that football boot.
To answer the question of what it looks like if you step on 4 minstrels, that's the exact what it looks like.
Also, as well, that's a massive tongue.
It is a massive
It's going
tongue,
halfway up his shin. I used to play football, so I know football boots, but the tongues they're big, but they weren't that big.
No.
Because you had to have your shin pads on underneath.
And he's got no shins, has he?
He's got no shins. No. Terrible advert. Bad.
Terrible.
There we go. That's Hot Ball. So, Ball Raider, Hot Ball, and now finally from Loris Yells, we've got Sapiens.
What is this? Is it Sapiens? Sapiens? Is that?
Sapiens, probably.
So this is obviously a take on Homo sapien, all right?
So 1,000 centuries ago, the human adventure began. At that time, survival depended on hunting, finding sources of water, medicinal or nutritional plants, and making arms from flint.
I mean, you're a maths head, right? You're like, 1,000 centuries ago. Isn't there actually a name for that?
1,000 times 100. Yeah. Yeah, it's 10 million, isn't it?
Well, surely there's a better way of writing it. 1,000 centuries ago.
Or is it just a million? Or was it 100,000? I don't know. You just had the zeros on, don't you?
Yeah.
So you got 5 zeros. 100,000.
So 100,000 years ago would have made, which isn't that long ago. Why would there be cavemen 100,000 years ago? Maybe a million years ago. 100,000 years ago, there probably wouldn't have been cavemen, I don't think. Maybe there would have been. I don't know. But they wouldn't look like that, though. He looks well organised and well grown.
It's 100,000, yeah. I thought it was.
And it's been menaced by, yes, I'll agree, the one on the right of him, because in this image, there's a mountain in the background. There's, I guess, a dinosaur of some description. Dinosaurs and men did not coexist in any way. No, there's millions of years between them. But anyway, all right, never mind that. But on this image, you've got a man, caveman-style hunter-gatherer guy in the middle, mountainous background, classic dinosaur image to the left, which is a lizard with fins, the lizardy fin dinosaur, the Finosaur. On the left, you've got, well, what is that exactly? Is that what is that? It's like a walrus? Is that a seal? What is that?
I don't know. His expression says it all though for me. Going, oh, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I am.
This has made them up. It's like, of all the dinosaurs that they've got skeletons of all the images of dinosaurs, you could think of tyrannosaurs, pterosaurs, brontosaurus, stegosaurus. They picked that to draw, and it's really tiny as well. So you don't really get imminent danger from that, other than it looks like he's about to trip over. The guy in the middle of Scott is being chased by what looks like a tiny seal of some description. And then he's about to skewer a sort of a fairly minuscule lizard, because the layering of the depth doesn't work because there's no shadow on anything. Assuming that the sun's in the sky in this brightly lit environment, where's the shadows on anything? The little creature on the left's got one, but it doesn't match the shadow on the right on that creature, nor does it match the one under the guy. So the lighting's all wrong. And he's so pink, so very pink and red, reddy pink.
If you zoom in as well, the black on his face, his beard, it's not beard. It's just, it looks like some kind of...
just scribble.
Yeah. Just to go back to the text is great. Your tribe is sick and hungry. Each day, some of your companions die in terrible pain, and the drought is spreading and yellowing the pastures, which used to be green. Big game has disappeared and food is becoming more and more scarce. The law of the survival of the fittest replaces the ancestral rights in violent combats between neighbouring tribes, and particularly with the bloodthirsty mad hyenas. The number of hunters diminishes every day, and many youngsters have to leave prematurely for the hunt. In order to win, you have to become a valiant hunter and set off to conquer new lands where terrible trials are awaiting. Can you survive? But this bit is the bit that terrified me, the bit at the bottom. A completely new generation adventure game, more than 3 million different sites, obtained by developing algorithms of fractal vision in perspective.
Yeah, the developer got in there with that, didn't he?
What does any of that mean?
Doesn't it? Because they were like, the developer came in on the marketing meeting and was like, can you please put in the description of the game? Well, we're trying to keep it about, the whole survival thing. Please put in description of game. Oh, all right, for Christ's sake. What is it again? The algorithm of what? So that's why it's kind of buried.
There's 5 very small screenshots, and then the bottom one is the most exciting they could find, which looks like a picture of a turd.
It does. Yeah, there is a picture of a shit in that, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's right in there. It's not good, is it, this? It doesn't make much sense either, does it? You have to become a valiant hunter and set off to conquer new lands. They're kind of conflicting things to do. Either you can become a hunter, successful, which means you go back to the place where you live to bring your hunting thing. Yeah, or you're off conquering, so it means you're going away for long periods of time to stupid game logic. Just words, aren't they? They're just words. And considering there's supposed to be a lack of food, there's 2 clear animals he could kill with his spear there. Admittedly, the one on the left's only going to be like a little tiny thing on his spear, like a little an appetizer. But yeah, there's some good meat on that lizard.
There is, yeah. I also don't like the logo for the name of the game. It looks like a 70s sort of American cartoon comedy font.
It does. Yes, it does a bit. Yes.
That doesn't say in any way, shape or form, say 100 million years BC or whatever.
No. And it also wins the obtuse place to put your company logo award, which is like right in the middle of the advert at the top, where you can't avoid, why wouldn't you put that at the bottom left? Why does it have to? Because it's stupid, that's why. Drop shadow on that thing at the top makes it look like the cinema poster from a old Clint Eastwood cowboy movie.
It's just dreadful.
That's the spaghetti western font, though. Just bad.
It is
Bad.
bad.
And by the way, I've noticed that his outfit that he's kind of wearing, his leopard skin pants, whatever you'd call them, is obviously, they've obviously mastered knots and making small daggers. He's got a little dagger down his pants. That's a health and safety issue right there. You need a sheath on that thing or you're going to cut your knackers off.
Also, as well, I think there's something quite subliminal. If you just look over his left arm, that rock formation looks like someone's arse.
It does, actually, yes. Yes,
Someone
it does.
sort of got trapped in that mountain and there's just their arse sticking out.
I mean, he's not terribly badly drawn. No, he's not. He is. I'm not sure what he's doing, but he's not badly drawn.
He's better than Ball Raider.
That wouldn't be hard to do. It wouldn't be much. I could draw better than that, and I can't draw diddly
He
squat.
just looks a bit nonplussed.
But, it's the birth of the 16-bit crapvert, and what an auspicious start it's been. Terrible. It's like they've gone backwards in time. Goodness me.
100,000 years back in time, some might say. 1,000 centuries.
1,000 centuries ago, when there were dinosaurs, only there weren't. All right.
No, they weren't. Not at all. Oh, there we go. Nice to have some crapverts back. And they were good crapverts.
They were.
They were good. Right. Okay, what we got in our charts? Let's go have a look at our charts. We've got some bad... it's February. It's not quite as bad as January spelling mistakes, but there are still some. This is from Commodore User again. At number 10, new entry, The Magnificent Seven. So a lot of compilations. Number 9, down from number 3, Game, Set, and Match. New entry at number 8, Match Day 2. New entry at number 7, Live Ammo. New entry at number 6, Bugsy Boy.
Bugsy Boy? What the hell's that?
Bugsy Boy. You know Bugsy
Hey,
Boy.
Bugsy. They've made a game about us again.
Hey, Bugsy.
Hey, Bugsy.
What are you doing
Bugsy
driving your
Boy.
car? And you don't need to steer around corners, Bugsy.
Terrible.
Number 5, down from number 1, California Games. Up from 11 to number 4, Solid Gold. Staying at number 3, Grand Prix Simulation. Nope,
Good.
it's Grand Prix Simulator.
Did it again. They got Prix right, to be fair.
Number 2, up from number 6, Combat School. And straight in at number 1, there's an Outrun.
Isn't Outrun? Yes. Isn't Outrun one word?
No, it's 2 words.
Oh, right.
It is 2 words.
With the spelling of this, you'd never know.
Down at the bottom, number 11, 720 is a new entry. Number 12, Gary Lineker's Superstar Soccer. Arcade Classics at 13. Back to the Future at 14.
Budget.
Fruit Machine Simulator. 16 is 10 Pack. 17 is Soccer Boss. No, it's not. It's Football Manager. I'm sure it is. An alternative. Star Wars at number 18. Kickstart 2 at number 19. And World Class Leaderboard at number 20. Good old Bugsy Boy. Hey, Bugsy. Oh, there we go. That's your charts. Right, what we got coming up next week? To go through that. Oh, sorry, next month. We're moving to March.
Yeah. We're moving on.
March. We've got games like, I don't know if some of these might be Adventures or whatever. Apollo 18.
Okay.
Battle Valley.
Good game, that.
Well, it's a silver medal, so it's going to be a budget one. BMX Kids. Border Zone. Brave Star.
Okay.
Code Hunter.
Right.
Demon Stalkers.
Sounds adventure-y.
Destruct.
Okay.
Droid Dreams.
Okay.
Football Frenzy.
Oh, no.
Fruit Machine Simulator.
Oh, there's that.
Garfield.
Oh, no, not Garfield.
Gauntlet 2.
Okay.
Gunslinger. Hunt for Red October.
Okay.
Eyeball
Weird.
2.
Right.
Ikari Warriors.
Interesting.
IO.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Prepare yourself for the pain of that one.
Yep. Jet Boys. Jinkster. We've had Jinks. Now we've got Jinkster.
Jinxter. You little Jinxter.
Little Green Man. Mac.
God. Oh, no.
MACH. Masters of the Universe.
Weird.
Mini Put.
Okay.
Okinawa, but I think that's a strategy game.
Yeah,
Point
sounds
X.
like it. Okay.
Predator.
Interesting.
Project Stealth Fighter. Gets a gold medal.
Wow, okay. Oh, it's the stealth fighter game, isn't it?
Yeah. Rastan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Scruples.
Hmm.
That's going to be hard to play, isn't it? That's going to be the board game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sidearms.
Oh, God.
See what that's like. Sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
Slain.
God,
Sub Battle Simulator.
That doesn't sound enthralling.
Test Drive.
Oh, no, not Test Drive.
World Tour Gold.
Okay.
Zip.
Mm-hmm.
And Zybex.
I remember Zybex being pretty good. I could be
silver medal.
completely wrong. Yeah.
Got silver medal, so it might be all right. Okay, so there, yeah, again, it's another March is another 4-parter because lots of games to be covered. So we'll be doing that, but that's what we've got coming up over the next 4 weeks.
Okay.
Quite a lot.
Quite a
Games
lot in there.
just do not stop. They never
don't.
stop. All right, what else? Anything else? Admin stuff. So let's say, Patreon. If you wish to support the podcast, you can do that by heading over to patreon.com/zapped to the past. You can sign up for just £1, which helps us out. inordinately, and we'd be very grateful if you did that. Or you can go for the full fat C64 experience, £4.50, or your local equivalent, and with the pound quite low at the moment, isn't it? I think that's probably quite cheap.
It is.
If you are not on these shores, and that gets you access to the Discord, early access to ad-free versions of the podcast, and all stuff like that. High score. We do high score challenges, weekly challenges, that kind of thing, and anything else we put out early, and any sort of special stuff that we do as well. That's all on there, and you can get that. That's simply £4.50, and that would be great if you could do that. That helps us out, keeps the wheels spinning, and keeps the servers up and running with our podcast on, and things like that. I don't think there's anything else. Everything else will be in the outro.
That's
Is there anything else? Is there anything else you wish to add, Graham? How have you felt about February?
Been a trial of a month. There's been some good games in there. I mean, Hunter's Moon's been a highlight, and there's been some nice little surprises along the way. Things like Fire Trap. Is it Fire Trap?
Yeah, Fire Trap was good. Yeah,
just there's been the odd surprise, but so much crap, and so much average crap or really bad stuff, and especially towards the end of it with the ones we've had this particular episode.
Yeah.
It disappoints me when I play things like Galactic Games, and we're in 1988 now. The benchmark needs to be set higher, and some of these things are just so crap. It's unbelievable that they get released, but yeah, there they are.
I feel it's going to just continue like this from here on out. I think we'll be ups and downs, just like it's always been.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll get a few more ups.
Yes, I'm sure we will.
Hopefully. I'm sure we will. On that note, there we go. What's that? Oh, no, I thought I could hear something chiming in the background. Chimey gong, and Sax Warbler. They've just left the building. Digital Persuasion have finished. They've turned off their synths.
That's it. They've gone. They're doing a what do you call it? Like a retro style where they just play with acoustic instruments. So unplugged. Yeah. Just the thumping of their fingers on their digital keyboards.
So tuneful. So
if you could hear that, that was a C. Thanks.
We've been Digital Persuasion.
Get out and leave, please. We're closing. I called last orders an hour ago. Get out.
They won't leave. Chimey gongs. All right. I think that's it. Let's go. Let's leave the people to stop listening to us. As ever, I have been Adrian Mills.
I have been Graham Raddings.
You've been listening to Digital Persuasion, and we will see you again next week. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Zapped to the Past podcast. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the world of Commodore 64 games, as well as the music, films and TV from around the 1980s, driven, of course, by the issue of Zap 64 magazine published at that time. We will return with a whole new batch of games and stuff to talk about next week. Until then, if you want to listen to or download previous episodes of Zapped to the Past, and why wouldn't you, they can all be found on our website at zappedtothepast.com, as well as being available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, Audible, Player FM, and, well, pretty much anywhere where we can upload them. By the way, we do always love to hear from our amazing listeners, so if you'd like to contact us about anything in the podcast or beyond, you can do so by emailing us at zappedtothepast@gmail.com. We're also active on Twitter under @ZapTother, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and most social media platforms. Just search for Zap to the Past and you'll find us. Oh, and if you like the podcast and what we're doing, please do like, share, review, rate us. It really helps. Something, apparently. The Zap to the Past podcast is written and produced by Adrian Mills and Graham Raddings, and recorded at FlakyBits 2.0 Studio. All opinions expressed are those of the writers, and while we indeed love Zap 64 magazine, the Zap to the Past podcast is not affiliated with it in any way. Stay safe, see you next time, and remember, we play these games so you don't have to.